What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
6MP. Chapter 111. Bankai. Julian Anti. 10 out of 10. Qian Ye and Naxamem sat relative to each other and entered the mind meditation space together. After Qian Ye entered the mind meditation space this time, the scene he saw in front of him was different from before. In the past, it's like nothing here, except for the Zanpakuto that Qian Ye and Nayuki Miki transformed into, there is nothing. Even the feet where Qian Ye was standing were nothing but nothingness. And this time, after Qian Ye entered the mind meditation space, what he saw was not nothingness. At this time, Qian Ye stood in the air, and there was a dense jungle at Qian Ye's feet. Qian Ye perceives strong spiritual power on the trees that make up the jungle. Obviously, the trees under Qian Ye's feet are composed of spiritual power. Qian Ye guessed that this jungle should have been created by Naomihime. Qian Ye looked suspiciously at the spiritual power jungle under his feet, and had no clue about his Bankai. Qian Ye knows. His Bankai could not be the spiritual jungle under his feet. Otherwise it's too ridiculous. Where is now Miki? Qian Ye waited and watched in 4 and 23 weeks. In the past, didn't Miki Nayuki transform into the nameless Zanpakuto, floating in front of Qian Ye? When Qian Ye was looking for Naomihime, Chang Chang, only a phoenix sound was heard, coming from the forest under Qian Ye's feet. Then, Qian Ye arrived at a huge and colorful bird soaring from the forest. If Yi Guan Ban Shang Dan Fang is a giant in Qian Ye's eyes, then this bird is always the giant in the eyes of Ban Xiaodan Fang. When it took off, after spreading its wings, it covered most of the forest. The colorful bird slowly flew towards Qian Ye, and it kept getting smaller on the way to Qian Ye. When it flew completely in front of Qian Ye and was less than 1 meter, the whole figure was already only twice the size of Qian Ye. But after its wings spread out, it is still very impressive. Only then did Qian Ye discover that the tail supported by the colorful bird was a little strange. Because the colorful bird has only one single feather. In Qian Ye's mind, it should have more feathers. At this time, the colorful bird in front of him spoke. It was now Miki's voice. Qian Ye, what you see now is my real body, but it is not my complete form. You should have also discovered that my tail feathers are not in harmony. So Miki now is a bird. Qian Ye was a little disappointed in his heart. Qian Ye replied, oh, yes, it seems that there are more Yori. Now Mihime said, yes, my complete form should be 9 feathers. Now because your spiritual power is not enough, there is only 1 tail feather. After your spiritual power is enough for me to transform into a complete 9 tail feathers, this is my complete form. Qian Ye felt bad when he heard this. Isn't it the old way again? Now Mihime will tell Qian Ye for a while, after Qian Ye's spiritual power is enough for her to transform Juyu, Qian Ye can complete Bankai. Just when Qian Ye was guessing like this in his heart, now Mihime had already given the answer. My Bankai's ability is to improve your current spiritual power in Reiatsu after you Bankai. Now I can double your spiritual power in Reiatsu. And every time I have more Haori, after you Bankai, your spiritual power in Reiatsu will double. I see. Generally Shinigami will improve Shinigami's spiritual power in Reiatsu after performing Shikai and Bankai. Well, Kurosaki Ichigo is special. And Qian Ye's Zanpakuto, after completing Shikai, only allowed Qian Ye to gain new abilities. In the dancing state of Miki now, Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hands can change different styles. And can give birth to spirit wings to fly. Now I think about it, the reason why Qian Ye can give birth to spirit wings behind. It is because now Mimiheim's true form is what it is now, so Qian Ye can transform the power of spirit wings. Under the appearance state of now Miki, she was able to appear and fight alongside Qian Ye. In Noshue Mihime's unified state, Qian Ye is able to borrow now Mihime's creative power. However, none of these 3 states will improve Qian Ye's spiritual power in Reiatsu. Original. It is not that Qian Ye's Zanpakuto cannot improve Qian Ye's spiritual power in Reiatsu after liberation. Instead, it has to be improved after Bankai. But Miki now said, she has 9 feathers at most. In other words, when now Mihime reaches full body, Qian Ye Bankai will increase her spiritual power in Reiatsu by 9 times. To know, Qian Ye's current spiritual power in Reiatsu are already terrifying. If it was increased by 9 times, Qian Ye himself couldn't imagine how strong he would be. At that time, the final form of Aizen integrated with Hōgyoku is not worth mentioning in front of Qian Ye. Certainly, now Mihime now has only 1 feather, and there is still a long way to go from 9 feathers. Qian Ye, try Bankai now. After Nayuki Mihime said, she changed from the colorful bird shape back to the inscription Zanpakuto and floated in front of Qian Ye. Qian Ye reached out and put Zanpakuto Mi in his hand. Then, Qian Ye lifted Zanpakuto horizontally in front of him, and chanted softly in his mouth. Let's dance, now Mihime. Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hand transformed into Shikai's appearance. Qian Ye held Zanpakuto in his right hand and held it forward, with the tip of the knife facing straight ahead. At the same time, Qian Ye held the blade with his left hand, and chanted softly in his mouth, Bankai. 9 feathers with Phoenix now Mihime. Chang Chang. Only 513 Phoenix sound was heard. Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hands is leaning on, but it changes slightly. The body of the sword is still transparent, but the mirror of the sword has become like a colorful bird with wings spread out. Both Qian Ye's spiritual power and Reiatsu have doubled. And Qian Ye knew that he still had the ability of now Mickey's dancing state and the unity state. You successfully learn Bankai and get rewards for hidden events. Super Template Upgrade Card X1. Spiritual Power Recovery Pill X1. The first time you Bankai, get a hidden event reward. Spiritual Power Plus 100. Qian Ye was very excited as he listened to the prompt in his mind. He not only succeeded in learning Bankai, moreover, once again obtained a Super Template Upgrade card. There is also a pill for spiritual power recovery. It is different from the blueprint of the spiritual space installation. This spiritual power recovery pill, Qian Ye only listens to the name and knows what it is for. Spiritual power recovery pills, as the name suggests, are naturally used for quick recovery of spiritual power. Chapter 112. Yiguan Banchi Lufang comes to settle accounts 1x. The next morning, after Matsumoto Rangaku woke up, he didn't open his eyes in a hurry. As a result, she searched for a long time, but couldn't find what she wanted. But Matsumoto Rangaku found that the place where she slept did not seem to be her own room. Matsumoto Rangaku felt a lump in his heart, and nervously lowered his left eye to take a look. Very good, it is not her own room as expected. Matsumoto Rangaku closed his left eye and counted. 1, 2, 3. Then, Matsumoto Rangaku, who opened both eyes, is messed up, and this is indeed not her room. Outside Qian Ye's bedroom is the office where the team leader works. Yamada Hanadura was busy late last night, and finally finished the 5th Division's affairs yesterday. Of course, you still need the captain or deputy captain to sign. Yamada Hanadura, who had just fallen asleep, was awakened by Matsumoto Rangaku's screams. He hurried to Qian Ye's bedroom, stopped halfway through. He remembered. Last night, it was Qian Ye holding the drunk Matsumoto Rangaku in. Qian Ye and Matsumoto Rangaku never came out of the inside. Well, Yamada Hanadura, who was working outside the bedroom, did not find Qian Ye who went out last night. Now, Matsumoto Rangaku screamed. Could it be that? In Yamada Hanaduru's mind, he started to make up time unconsciously. Matsumoto Rangaku ran out. Hanadura, what about Qian Ye? Is Qian Ye not inside? Yamada Hanadura wondered whether it was not what he thought. In the 5th Division yard, the members of the 5th Division greeted Qian Ye who came back from the outside. Hello Captain Qian Ye. Captain Qian Ye, early. When Qian Ye smiled and nodded, Matsumoto Rangaku's scream came from the direction of the captain's room. Don't panic, I'll go and see. Qian Ye returned to the captain's room after speaking. Matsumoto Rangaku saw Qian Ye coming in, and immediately rushed up, staring at Qian Ye. What did you do to me? Qian Ye pinched his nose and said. You don't smell it either, you are so stinky now, do you think I will do anything to you? You, Matsumoto Rangaku sniffed herself, and found that it was indeed a smell of alcohol. You go and deal with it first. Qian Ye waved to Yamada Hanadura after speaking. Yamada Hanadura came over. Captain Qian Ye, what's the matter? Did you finish processing yesterday's work? It's all handled, but you still need to sign from Captain Qian Ye or the deputy captain. I only need to sign it. Qian Ye asked in surprise. After seeing Yamada Hanadura nodding for confirmation, Qian Ye smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Very well, it seems that you are fully qualified for the position of captain and adjutant. Captain Qian Ye, after Rangaku is ready, let us know that the 5th Division will have a meeting. Oh, after an hour. In the 5th Division yard. The 5th Division team members and seat officials gathered here. Qian Ye is on the steps outside the hall, with Yamada Hanadura on the left and Matsumoto Rangaku on the right. Qian Ye said loudly. Now announce 3 things. The 5th Division team listened quietly. This is Qian Ye's first meeting as the acting captain of the 5th Division. They heard Qian Ye say 3 things to announce, and they thought it was the 3 fires that Qian Ye's new official took office. They all stood upright and did not dare to be sloppy. The first thing is that the former deputy captain Hinamori Momo has now been transferred from the team due to personal reasons. In this regard, the members of the 5th Division almost all knew what happened yesterday, but they didn't expect it to be so fast. The second thing is to send us a welcome to Matsumoto Rangaku as the new deputy captain of our 5th Division. In this regard, the 5th Division team is also not surprised. When Matsumoto Rangaku came to the 5th Division yesterday, they had already guessed it. What are you doing in a daze? Applaud and welcome. After the members of the 5th Division gave a warm applause. Hehe, thank you everyone, we must get along well in the future. Matsumoto Rangaku had a smile on his face, and she took Qian Ye's arm while she spoke. Qian Ye is our captain, so, if you have anything in the future, please directly contact Captain Qian Ye instead of me. Qian Ye glared at Matsumoto Rangaku, and Matsumoto Rangaku hurriedly changed his words. Of course, as the deputy captain of the 5th Division, I can still help if I have time. Never mind. Qian Ye, who knew Matsumoto Rangaku's character, didn't count on her. The third thing, Yamada Hanadoro, from today, is the 5th Division Captain's deputy, responsible for helping me deal with everything about the 5th Division. Only then did the 5th team know that what Yamada Hanadoro said yesterday was true. Without Qian Ye's reminder this time, they applauded and welcomed them. Above, the meeting is over. After half an hour, Qian Ye and Matsumoto Rangaku signed the documents processed by Yamada Hanadoro together. Because Qian Ye did not handle it himself, he did not receive the event reward after signing. Matsumoto Rangaku stretched his waist and said, "Oh, it's finally done, Captain Qian Ye, you are really wise to transfer Yamada Hanadoro as an adjutant." Quote. "Since you know that I am wise, then you must listen to me carefully. I know, by the way, Captain Qian Ye, where do I live?" Matsumoto Rangaku came from the Juban team yesterday evening and has not yet arranged a place for her. But, Qian Ye did not intend to arrange such trivial matters. "You can live wherever you want, without asking me." "Oh, then I'll go back and bring things over. Always Banshi Lufang, although you are the seat officer of the 7th Division, this is the 5th Division, not the place where you run wild." Qian Ye wanted a moment of peace. "Qian Ye, thank you 865XXX for your monthly ticket support, thank you." Matsumoto Rangaku left the 5th team and returned to the 10th team to move her things. "Such a day is very pleasant. Don't worry about Aizen's calculations, it's cool. The reality is not willing to let Qian Ye wish. Really. Shinigami, who is super tall, about 2 meters 3, and looks very burly, came here aggressively. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running." Standing outside the gate of the 5th Division team, Yiguan Banshi Lufang opened his loud noise door. "Qian Ye, get out of here." He is the younger brother of Baidaman guard Yiguan Banki Lufang Yiguan Banshi Lufang. "Yiguan Banshi Lufang, what do you want to do?" People from the 5th Division all came out when they heard the words, and surrounded the Yiguan Banshi Lufang, who had obviously come to make trouble. "Pity." Qian Ye moved a deck chair to the yard and lay on it to sleep in the sun. Yiguan Banshi Lufang said, "I'm here to find the murderer who killed my brother and settle the account." Outside the gate of the 5th Division. Chapter 113. Ichigo decided to go to Soul Society 2x. Qian Ye's killing of Baidaman guard Yiguanban Xiaodanfang was not a secret in Jingalingting. However, the Yifan team has already explained this. Qian Ye was eager to save people, but Guanban Xiaodanfang refused to open the door all the time. Qian Ye helplessly beheaded him. This explanation sounds reasonable, but it can't stand scrutiny at all. After Qian Ye was awakened, he came to the gate of the 5th Division. Seeing Qian Ye coming out, Banshi Lufang Yiguan immediately questioned. "Qian Ye, why are you killing my brother?" Qian Ye pretended not to know each other, and asked in a cold voice, "Who are you?" "I am the 4th seat officer of the 7th Division, Yiguan Banshi Lufang. The guard who was killed by you at Baidaman is my brother." "Really? Then do you know who I am?" "You are the acting captain of the 5th Division." Qian Ye pressed his Reiatsu towards Yiguan Banshi Lufang. "As an official, don't you know what to do when facing the captain?" Yiguan Banshi Lufang reminded the burly, but under the pressure of Qian Ye's Reiatsu, he could not stand steady and knelt on one foot. He gritted his teeth 513 and stood up, only to find that Reiatsu pressed against him strengthened again. This time, Yiguan Banshi Lufang knelt to the ground with a thud with his feet. At the same time, Qian Ye's voice sounded. "Want to seek revenge from me, I understand, but I hope you can be self-aware and don't overpower yourself." "Damn it." All the while, Banshi Lufang hit the ground with a fist. "Sorry brother, I'm humming. Okay, I have to cry home and cry." After Qian Ye finished speaking, he dispersed to Reiatsu who was pressing on Yiguan Banshi Lufang, then turned and walked into the 5th Division, leaving Yiguan Banshi Lufang still kneeling on the ground, as well as all the members of the 5th Division. Only then did they really understand. Qian Ye, a boy who is less than 17 years old, is definitely not an easy existence. Whether it is Qian Ye's handling of the almost unreasonable Hinamori Momo yesterday. This is what Qian Ye did today when confronted with the consistent Banshi Lufang who came to seek revenge for his brother. It all proved that Qian Ye is definitely not what it looks like. If you think Qian Ye is young and seem to be harmless to humans and animals, then you think Qian Ye is a bully. I'm afraid, the price of life will be paid. CDEJ is like the guard of Baidaman. Yiguan Banshi Lufang slowly got up from the ground. It was not that he didn't want to avenge his brother. But it can't be done. Just now, he felt the killing intent from Qian Ye's Reiatsu. He knew that if he was unwell, Qian Ye would really kill him. No matter what kind of punishment Qian Ye will be punished by Soul Society after killing him. For Yiguan Banshi Lufang, it is useless. Therefore, Yiguan Banshi Lufang intends to temporarily let go of this time, and later find a chance to avenge Qian Ye. On the way back to Banshi Lufang, Yiguan was stopped by a woman. Although Banshi Lufang did not know the woman, he had never seen the woman in front of him. But, from the clothes on the woman's body, Sakaji Lufang always recognizes that the other party is Seraidi's superior family member Ito. Is it the 4th seat of the 7th Division, Sakaji Lufang? Yiguan Banchi Lufang nodded. I am Zuomi Ito, and my father used to be a sage at Central 46. Sakaji Lufang looked at Ito Renmei suspiciously, not knowing what the woman from the superior aristocratic family would do with him. Ito Zuomi said. It's not just my Ito family, many nobles in Seraiti, after learning about your brother's incident, felt that Soul Society had unfairly sentenced Qian Ye. Yiguan Banchi Lufang was excited when he heard this, and it seemed that his chance of revenge had come. So, we decided to help you, let the captain change the sentence for Qian Ye again, and let him pay the price he deserves for killing your brother, and for this, we need your cooperation. Okay, I will cooperate with you. As long as I can avenge my brother, I am willing to do anything. This is not a place to talk, please come with me. Qian Ye didn't know this, but even if he knew it, he wouldn't care about it. If those nobles didn't dance, Qian Ye would feel strange and uneasy instead. After all, the enemy in the dark, if not the most terrible, must be the most disgusting. These nobles who have thoughts about Qian Ye, after jumping out early, Qian Ye can also clean him up early and get rid of this hidden danger. Afternoon. Captain's room, Qian Ye's bedroom. Qian Ye looked at Matsumoto Rangaku gloomily as he carried the big and small bags inside. Vice Captain Matsumoto, what are you doing? Captain Qian Ye, I said, don't call me Deputy Captain Matsumoto, call me Rangaku. Well, Rangaku, what are you doing? Why do you move all your things into my bedroom? Matsumoto Rangaku has a hint of sly on his face. Hee, of course I live here. But this is my bedroom. But didn't you say Captain Qian Ye? Let me live wherever I want. But this is my bedroom. But I just want to live here. What about me? You are the captain, you can live wherever you want, no one can control you. 1. Dry. Encountered a female hooligan. Matsumoto Rangaku saw Qian Ye walking out angrily, holding his small fist in joy. Captain Qian Ye, I can only help you get here, you have to come on. Captain Qian Ye, you have to work hard to live where you should live. Matsumoto Rangaku said and looked in the direction of the 4th division. 3 days later. This world. Unohana shop underground. Kurosaki Ichigo has initially learned the skill Zangetsu, but he has not yet mastered it proficiently, nor can he exert the true power of Zangetsu. At this time, Kurosaki Ichigo could no longer wait. Therefore, he decided to go to Soul Society today to save Rukia Kuchiki, who may be tortured by Sokyoku. After Kurosaki Ichigo asked Urahara Kazuki to go to Soul Society today. Mr. Kurosaki, don't worry, it will take time for the gate to open. How long will it take? Kurosaki Ichigo couldn't wait for a moment. Urahara Kazuki replied, maybe it will be fine when your companion arrives. My companion. Yes, Mr. Kurosaki, sometimes the power of one person is not enough, so you need the power of a companion. Kurosaki Ichigo said, but going to Soul Society this time is very dangerous. I don't want my friends to take risks with me. Urahara Kazuki said, Mr. Kurosaki, in addition to believing in your own strength, sometimes you have to try to believe in the strength of your companions. And your companions are not weak. I believe you will be able to successfully rescue Rukia with their help. Kuchiki. The companion who can go to Soul Society to fight Shinigami can't be an ordinary person, but I don't have that kind of companion. At this time, a voice familiar to Kurosaki Ichigo came from the underground entrance. Ichigo, if you say that, I will be sad. Chapter 114. Noble Jump. Kill chickens and be monkeys. 3x. Advertise here. Kurosaki Ichigo turned and looked around, and saw Sato Yasutora and Inoue Orihime walking down the entrance together. Behind the two, a black cat followed. The person who just opened the mouth is Sato Yasutora. Sato, come on, you guys. Urahara Kazuki said. Yes, they just can go to Soul Society with you and help your companions. Sato and Inoue are indeed my friends, but. Urahara Kazuki said, Mr. Sato, and Miss. It seems that Mr. Kurosaki doesn't believe you. Can you show Mr. Kurosaki your strength? Sato Yasutora nodded, and then came to a small mountain bag. As he shouted, his right hand changed. If Qian Ye is here, he will definitely recognize that it is the giant's right arm. The giant's right arm is actually mainly used for defense. At this time, Sato Yasutora used it as the main attack method. Sato Yasutora raised his right hand and blasted towards the hill in front of him with a punch. Bang! The small mountain bag was directly shattered under the bombardment of Sato Yasutora. Kurosaki Ichigo, who was looking aside, was stunned. It turned out that it wasn't just him who got Shinigami's strength. Sato Yasutora also gained extraordinary power. Then, Inoue Orihime also showed her power. Kurosaki Ichigo is happy for Sato Yasutora and Inoue Orihime to gain new power, but at the same time, he doesn't want them to follow him to the Soul Society adventure. However, the two insisted on going with him and said that Rukia Kuchiki was also their companion. Kurosaki Ichigo agreed to come down. At this time, Tessai Tsukubishi said, okay, you are ready to open the door to pass. Kurosaki Ichigo excitedly said, then open it. No hurry, there is a friend of Mr. Kurosaki's coming. Kurosaki Ichigo was puzzled, but saw Ishida Ryu walking down from the entrance with the spirit gloves. Inoue Orihime looked at Ishida Yulong in surprise and waved. Ishida, you are here. I knew you would come. Ishida, thank you. Kurosaki Ichigo knows the strength of Ishida Ryu, so he is really happy that he can come to help. You don't need to thank me. Rukia Kuchiki is also my friend. I am not here to help you, I just follow my heart and save my friend. At this time, Tessai Tsukubishi has opened the gate of the crossing, and Urahara Kazuki briefly explained the gate of the crossing and the boundary that Kurosaki Ichigo and others will pass through. Kurosaki Ichigo and others, led by the Black Cat transformed into by Shihu and Yoruichi, stepped into the gate. Enter the boundary that connects the present world and Soul Society, and begin to move towards Soul Society. Soul Society, Seraiti. A news that was extremely unfavorable to Qian Ye spread throughout Seraiti. Have you heard? Qian Ye, the new acting captain of the 5th Division of the 13th Division, is actually a murderous man. Well, I heard that. It is said that Qian Ye is not only murderous, but also relies on his own strength. He completely ignores our thousands of years of rules. As long as someone dares to provoke him, he will kill him. I heard that the deputy captain of the 2nd Division just reported Qian Ye's previous crimes to Central 46. As a result, he was almost beaten to death by Qian Ye in front of the captains. Also, I heard that the original deputy captain of the 5th Division team was a little dissatisfied with Qian Ye's behavior, and was treated as a suppression, and finally had to choose to leave the 5th Division team that had been staying. What's even more miserable is the guard of the Beidaemon. For so many years, Ban Xiaodanfang has been guarding the Beidaemon diligently. The last time he performed his duty to guard the Beidaemon, he was brutally killed by Qian Ye. There's still more. The younger brother of Guan Ban Xiaodanfang went to the 5th Division team to find Qian Ye, trying to seek justice for his tragically killed brother, but was forced to kneel in public at Qian Ye. I think Qian Ye is not only unsuitable for acting captain of the 5th Division, but also unworthy to stay in Seraiti. Yes, it is too dangerous for such a dangerous person to stay in Seraiti. If one day he sees me upset, won't I be killed directly? Dialogues like this were staged in various places in Seraiti. Obviously, this was deliberately arranged by those nobles. Now, Central 46 has not been reorganized, and they cannot win Qian Ye, so they plan to use the pressure of the fishing boat to prevent Qian Ye from stepping down. For flowers, as long as Qian Ye is disgusted by the entire Seraiti, no matter how the captain views Qian Ye, he has to drive Qian Ye out of the jingling pavilion. And at that time, they can wait for the reorganization of Central 46 and order the captain of the 13th Division of Hutting to kill Qian Ye, who was exiled to Rukongai. Their abacus is playing very loudly. But can their plan for Qian Ye really go as smoothly as they imagined? The next day, the whole Seraiti nobles were shocked. Because there were 5 noble family heads and elders, they were found dead at home by the tribe in the morning. The dead were killed with a single knife. There was no trace of fighting on the dead body and in the room. As if those dead were obediently let the murderer kill them. Then, Shojiro Sasaki, Captain, does it really matter if Qian Ye is so indulgent? A team. Moreover, if they jump out to trouble Qian Ye, they might be killed at home someday. Even some nobles, in order not to be in the town of Qian Ye. The patriarch took the elders of the clan and personally came forward to clarify for Qian Ye. But although they knew that Qian Ye did it, they didn't have any evidence. I believe that Qian Ye has a sense of measure. Said that Seraiti's rumors about Qian Ye were wrong. Qian Ye is not a murderous person, but a good captain who is dedicated to Seraiti and the Soul Society. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. In this way, the unfavorable exploration of Qian Ye and Seraiti also calmed down. Qian Ye must have done something to them. But I am afraid that Qian Ye will be really lawless. Qian Ye. Obviously I didn't write anything. I was always auditing me. I felt uncomfortable and wanted to cry. 106 went into the small dark room again. Where? Yamamoto Motoyanagi Saiju National Road. Those nobles, it's time for a good beating. In this extreme panic, they had to constrain their actions and did not dare to make trouble with Qian Ye again. Isn't Qian Ye afraid of being sanctioned? With nobles taking the lead, more and more nobles in Seraiti stepped forward to speak for Qian Ye. Extreme panic began to spread among the nobles of Seraiti, and they knew it without guessing. Chapter 115, Shihuan Yoruichi, 4x. Advertise here. 7 days later, over the East 30th district of Rukongai. A piercing gate was opened in the air. Subsequently, Kurosaki Ichigo and others who went to Soul Society from the present world fell through the gate in the sky. Kurosaki Ichigo and others, when passing through the boundary, traveled from the real world to the Soul Society. Encountered what is known as the scavenger of the broken boundary. Therefore, the arrival time of Kurosaki Ichigo and others in Soul Society has been deviated. Kurosaki Ichigo of Soul Society should have arrived long ago, but it was 10 days late. Kurosaki Ichigo, Sato Yasutora and Ishida Ryu relied on the power of Inoue Orihime to smoothly land on Rukongai's ground. The black cat turned into by Shihuan Yoruichi directly condenses the spirit child under its cat's claws and walks to the ground like a stroll in the air. The action of the black cat, 5-3, naturally made Kurosaki Ichigo and others dumbfounded, not knowing how this black cat did it. After Kurosaki Ichigo and others settled in Rukongai, the black cat said with the voice of the old man. I'll find out about Rukia Kuchiki first, you guys stay here first. Kurosaki Ichigo said. Can't we go directly to save people? The black cat glared at him and said, Ichigo, this is Soul Society, don't underestimate it. 2 hours later, the black cat turned into by Shihu and Yoruichi came to West 1st Street. It succeeded in inquiring some news through its channels. The guard of Beidaemon was beheaded. There have been many confrontations between the captains of the Gotei 13th Division at Beidaemon. In Seraiti, many noble patriarchs and elders were killed inexplicably in their homes. The information that the black cat wanted was not inquired at all. Aizen Sōsuke took the news that Ichimaru Jin and Tusen Kanami had defected, and Gotei Shisanban naturally would not let this news spread to Rukongai. Yoruichi feels very puzzled now. What about the news of Rukia Kuchiki's execution? In the end, Yoruichi decided to find a way to enter Seraiti to have a look. Yoruichi came outside the White Road Gate. Because the original guard was killed by Qian Ye, the guard was replaced by another. He is also a hero selected from Rukongai. Although his figure is not as huge as that of the usual Ban Xiao Danfang, he also looks very burly, several times the size of a normal man. As the guards of the Beidaemon, in fact, guarding the Beidaemon is not their main responsibility. Because the city gate was built with murderous stones, unless it was born with supernatural power or possessed strange power, it would be impossible to open the city gate at all. Therefore, the guards of the 4 gates of Seraiti chose heroes who looked like giants and possessed weird powers. Their main task is actually to open the door. Certainly. These guards, unless they are facing foreign enemies, are strange existences like Zaraki Kenpachi who walked out of Zaraki district, and Kusajishi Yakiru who walked out of Kusajishi district. These guards are more than enough to deal with Rukongai's souls. Yoruichi maintained the posture of the black cat and came to the guard. Who are you? Where is the original guard here? The new guard looked at the black cat jumping on his shoulder, eyes full of doubt and curiosity. Talking cats are not impossible in Soul Society. However, he has only heard of it, and this is the first time he has seen it. You are. Yoruichi said, I am a friend of Kanon Sakao Danbo. Oh, I am a friend of Yiguan Banshu Danfang. I am sorry to tell you that Yiguan Banksia Danfang is dead. Yoruichi said with surprise, it's dead. I just went to Dong 12 friend's house for a month. Why did he suddenly die at Sakao Danfang? Can you tell me what happened? The guard said, I don't know exactly what happened. I only know that Qian Ye returned to Soul Society not long ago and wanted to enter Seraiti from here to save people. However, Ban Xiao Dan Fang refused to open the door to Qian Ye. Was killed by Qian Ye. When Qian Ye was living in the Unohana store, Yoruichi was not there. Therefore, Yoruichi has not seen Qian Ye. But, Unohana Kazuki told Yoruichi about Qian Ye, so Yoruichi knew about Qian Ye. It is also known that Qian Ye and Unohana Retsu returned to Soul Society early. Qian Ye's purpose is the same as her, it is also to save Rukia Kuchiki. Because Qian Ye has never sent the news back to this world. So Yoruichi decided to bring Kurosaki Ichigo and the others to Soul Society to participate in the rescue of Rukia Kuchiki. Certainly, Unohana Kazuki learned that Qian Ye was very strong and learned of Aizen Sōsuke's plan. Qian Ye, who knew that he had arrived at Soul Society in advance, and Byakuya Kuchiki, who already knew Aizen Sōsuke's plan, would definitely try to stop Aizen Sōsuke and save Rukia Kuchiki. Then why did he help Kurosaki Ichigo restore the power of Shinigami and let Yoruichi bring them to Soul Society? Perhaps, only Unohana Kazuki knew about it. No matter what the reason is, in short, Unohana Kazuki must have his plan. If Qian Ye knew, he would definitely guess without hesitation. Unohana Kazuki wants to use this opportunity to make Kurosaki Ichigo and others stronger. As for why Kurosaki Ichigo should become stronger, it is Unohana Kazuki's own plan. How is the murderer Qian Ye now? Yoruichi pretended to be very angry. Well, because Qian Ye was eager to save people, he was not punished. Instead, he became the acting captain of the 5th Division. Qian Ye killed the guard of the Beidaemon, not only was it okay, but he also became the acting captain of the 5th Division. I don't know this. It seems that his younger brother is in charge. You can ask his younger brother, but his younger brother is Shinigami of the 7th Division. You can't get in Seraiti. In other words, otherwise, Qian Ye would not be the acting captain of the 5th Division, and would definitely try to save people. But, explain 2 things. Qian Ye killed all Ban Si Danfang without incident, and became the acting captain of the 5th Team 4.9. Yoruichi left the White Road and returned to the road where Kurosaki Ichigo and others were. Yoruichi already had the answer in his mind, so he said, thank you, can you tell me where the burial place of Yi Guanzhong Danfang is? I want to see it. 1. Rukia Kuchiki must have been successfully rescued by Qian Ye. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Qian Ye. The liver exploded yesterday and it hurt too much. Today's state is not good, and there is no code word state at all, so Qian Ye try his best to write as much as possible. Yoruichi thought of Unohana Kazuki's explanation to her, but did not intend to tell Kurosaki Ichigo and others. She had guessed in her mind. Oh, thank you. In fact, Kurosaki Ichigo and others have no need to continue their actions. Of course continue Kurosaki Ichigo and others' rescue plan for Rukia Kuchiki. Second, Aizen Sōsuke's plan was debunked, or failed. If Aizen Sōsuke did not have an accident, Qian Ye would not be the acting captain of the 5th Division. Chapter 116, Flower Crane Shooting Method Number 2 Juji wa Blooms. 1x. Advertise here. After Shihu and Yoruichi turned into a black cat to inquire about the situation, he decided to let Kurosaki Ichigo and others continue their plan to rescue Rukia Kuchiki. The first step for Kurosaki Ichigo and others is to invade the Jingling Palace. So, Yoruichi took Kurosaki Ichigo and they found Shiba Sora. Qian Ye didn't know this. Still living his little life in the 5th Division. Kurosaki Ichigo and others came to Soul Society the next day, evening. Shiba Konghei's house. Kurosaki Ichigo, Orihime, Ishida Ryu, and Sato Yasutora stood in front of the cannon launcher. Also here are Shiba Sorzuru, and Shiba Sorzuru's younger brother Shiba Iwasu. And the 2 sturdy servants of the Shiba family, Jin Yan and Yin Yan. Of course, Shihu and Yoruichi who turned into a black cat is also here. Because Yoruichi did not follow Kurosaki Ichigo and others to do the 23 training of spiritual power cannonballs, so Kurosaki Ichigo asked. Mr. Yoruichi, can you make a psychic cannonball? Then, Shihu and Yoruichi, who turned into a black cat, jumped onto the cannonball and easily completed what Kurosaki Ichigo had done so hard and painstakingly, injecting spiritual power into the cannonball, and then forming a spiritual membrane around the cannonball. This is the spirit, power cannonballs. Seeing that everything was ready, Shiba Sora Suru let Shiba Iwawaki and Kurosaki Ichigo and others enter the cannonball launch tube together. After Kurosaki Ichigo and others entered, they put their hands on the cannonball together, ready to inject spiritual power at any time to form a spiritual power cannonball. Outside, Shiba Iwawushi said, the sky is about to dawn. When it comes to dawn, it is when I fire the cannonball. Then I will use the flower crane shooting method to send you into Seraiti. The black cat turned into by Shihu and Yoruichi does not forget to remind Kurosaki Ichigo and others to enter Seraiti. In Seraiti, there are 13 guards who are responsible for guarding Jingling Palace, with a total of more than 6,300 players. Each squad has a captain, a deputy captain, and 10 to 3 seats. Remember, our task is to rescue Rukia Kuchiki. Don't put yourself in any other danger. Also, if you encounter a leader-level existence, you must flee immediately without hesitation. Because with your current strength, if you encounter a captain-level figure, you can only die. Kurosaki Ichigo asked, Mr. Yoruichi, captain of Gotei 13, is that really amazing? Ishida Yulong also raised his eyes and waited for Yoruichi's answer. When I was in Karakura town, when Manos Grande appeared, you saw those Shinigami, who were captain-level figures. When Kurosaki Ichigo and others heard this, their expressions became solemn. In this way, they understand the strength of the captain level, that is indeed not the existence they can overcome now. Seeing Kurosaki Ichigo and others understand, Yoruichi secretly said. Kurosaki Ichigo, although this rescue is meaningless, it can let you know what the real Shinigami is and the real power of Shinigami. I hope that after this incident, you can have a true understanding of your own strength and at the same time be able to grow. About 10 minutes later, the rays of the rising sun shone on the launch pad. Standing on the launch pad, Shiba Sora Suru pulled out Zanpakuto with his back with his left hand. Then after playing a sword flower, a clear drink was inserted on the launch pad. At the same time, Shiba Kong knelt on one knee and began to chant a spell. The other side, the copper-colored desire wants 36 degrees of control. After Yoruichi heard Shiba Sora Suru chanting a spell, he said loudly, it's going. Everyone is going to pour spiritual power into the cannonball. While Kurosaki Ichigo and others were nervous on their faces, they naturally followed Yoruichi's instructions. Outside, Shiba Konghei's spell continued, the illusion of 72 pairs. 13 pairs of horn flutes. When Shiba Sora Suru's spell chanted here, her left hand released the Zanpakuto hilt that had been inserted into the launch pad. Then stood up and walked to the front of the barrel. As the bandage wrapped around the head was unwrapped with the right hand, he lifted it high. The monkey's right hand caught the star. As Shiba Kora chanted the spell, the bandage she was holding in her right hand was wrapped around her right hand and ignited a raging flame. Afterwards, Shiba Kong hit it with a punch. She had drawn it with Shiba's special gunpowder before, and circled the black line of the launch tube. The black line of gunpowder was instantly ignited, forming a flame circle around the launch tube. Embrace the 25 round of the sun. The cradle of sand is bleeding. At this time, the flame circle that originally circled the launch pad began to spread toward the launch pad and moved up. Shiba Empty Crane shouted. The second method of Empty Crane launching the flower of Juji blooms. As the last word of Shiba Kong fell, the flame climbed to the top of the long launch tube. At the same time, in the launching pad, Kurosaki Ichigo and others, who released spiritual power to form spiritual cannonballs, were launched into the air. After Kurosaki Ichigo and others formed the spiritual artillery shells that were launched into the high air, they no longer continued to rise, but moved rapidly in the direction of Seraiti. Shiba Iwawushi began to chant the successor to the Huahei shooting method. The fate of 3 birds. The fate of 4 dragons. Kurosaki Ichigo, are you guys here? Qian Ye just closed his eyes again, but suddenly opened them, and then looked at the sky above Seraiti in the distance. However, finally came to Saraiti smoothly. During the period, although Kurosaki Ichigo was unable to control his own spiritual power, he failed to properly match the ability of Shiba Ichigo who needed to chant a spell. Matsumoto Rangaku glanced at Qian Ye with his eyes closed, and said, Captain Qian Ye, why didn't you become the acting captain sooner? On the steps in front of the 5th Division captain's room. What's the meaning? This day. 517. Tianfeng. Stars, spoons, elm sticks. If you become the acting captain earlier, I can be transferred to you as the deputy captain sooner. Qian Ye opened his eyes and looked at Matsumoto Rangaku. Rangaku, you still have vision, you also think I am a good captain, right? A string of black lines appeared on Qian Ye's head, turning his head and continuing to close his eyes to soak up the sun. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Matsumoto Rangaku turned white and Qian Ye gave Qian Ye a glance. It's so stinky. I mean, if you become the acting captain sooner, I can be lazy with you sooner. 5 directions have no way. 6 Li will not return. Qian Ye and Matsumoto Rangaku each moved a recliner, and then lay on it to bask in the sun. While Qianwei, Shenji, and the white clouds lean towards the sun and don't step on the fiery shadow. Chapter 117. Travel Disaster Invasion. Trigger Special Events 2x. Advertise here. Matsumoto Rangaku asked inexplicably. Captain Qian Ye, what Kurosaki Ichigo, what are you talking about? Qian Ye stood up and Matsumoto Rangaku, who was still lying on the recliner, also tugged. Don't be lazy, there is a good show. What? Follow me. Qian Ye finished speaking, and jumped to the roof of the captain's room. Although Matsumoto Rangaku was puzzled, he followed a flash to come to Qian Ye's side. Qian Ye pointed to the distance and said, look. After Matsumoto Rangaku raised her head and looked in the direction Qian Ye was pointing, her mouth was suddenly pouted into a 0 feet shape because of surprise. Saraiti suddenly lit up in the distant sky. Then I saw a powerful spiritual bomb with extremely fast speed and strong impact. It hits the sky above Saraiti, on the protective cover formed by the murderous stone the soul mask. After the spirit bomb hit the soul mask, although it stopped temporarily, it produced a strong impact with the soul mask. The impact wave spread to the entire Saraiti. At the same time, an alarm sounded throughout Saraiti. Then there was Shinigami's use of Bakudo number 77. The voice behind the sky is quite empty, which sounded in various places in Gotei Shisanban. Please pay attention to all teams. If you find the invasion of a travel accident, please go to their respective defense positions immediately. All teams, please pay attention and find out. Such sirens kept ringing throughout the guarding 13 times. After the 13th Division teams received the alert, from the captain to the teammates, naturally they all returned to their positions and stood on guard. And in the air, after the psychic bomb produced a strong impact with the soul mask, it finally successfully penetrated into Saraiti. But, as a result, the spiritual bomb exploded. Kurosaki Ichigo and others were over Saraiti, each falling in a different direction to Saraiti. At this time, the system prompt sounded in Qian Ye's mind. Trigger Special Event. Repel the disaster. Open black lens bracket. The first time you trigger a special event, you will receive a hidden event reward. Link a plus 500, close black lens bracket. Yep. Qian Ye was taken aback as he listened to the prompt sound in his mind. Hasn't he turned off the trigger event reminder? Why is it still prompted? While Qian Ye was puzzled, the system actually responded. When a special event is triggered, it must be reminded. Turning off the trigger event reminder setting is invalid for special events. Close black lens bracket. I see. But this special event is quite fun. It turned out to be Qian Ye to repel the disaster. Qian Ye knows. The so-called travel disaster. It refers to the invasion into Saraiti. I don't know that Rukia Kuchiki is okay. I want to rescue Kurosaki Ichigo and others who may be sentenced to double force. Although Qian Ye is not interested in Kurosaki Ichigo and others who are still novices. However, since it is a special event that cannot be blocked to remind. If it is completed, the reward must be very good. Therefore, Qian Ye decided to complete this task. Captain Qian Ye, didn't we follow the order to the designated defensive position? Matsumoto Rangaku tugged Qian Ye, who looked like he was in a daze. Qian Ye said. Why, aren't we in the 5th Division? Captain Qian Ye, you are really the 5th Division of Hutting 13th Division, and this is the 5th Division's team house, but. Matsumoto Rangaku said, but the ending sound of the 2 words was very long, and then continued. But the team house is not a defensive position. The Gotei 13th and 13th Divisions have their own defensive positions in Saraiti, and our position is over there. Qian Ye thought that it was indeed the case. Gotei Shisanban is responsible for guarding Saraiti, and the defensive position cannot be just their respective team houses. Hanaro. Qian Ye jumped off the roof and shouted. Matsumoto Rangaku came to the edge of the roof, crouched there and watched, without rushing down. Soon, Yamada Hanadaro ran over. Captain Qian Ye. Hanadaro, immediately let the 5th Division team gather, and then follow me to the defensive place. Yamada Hanadaro said. After receiving the alarm, we have assembled in the compound. Now we are waiting for your order from Captain Qian Ye. Qian Ye was a little embarrassed. Is his captain too unreliable? The 5th Division compound. Qian Ye said. Remember, we must guard our defense points, and we can't let the disaster break through from us. Now, follow me to the defense point. Therefore, Qian Ye took the 5th Division team members and came to the designated defensive point. Qian Ye raised his head and looked into the air. I saw Kurosaki Ichigo and others were divided into 4 waves, falling in the 4 directions of Seraiti. As for the defense points of the 5th Division that Qian Ye was in charge of, it seemed that those 4 landing points had nothing to do with them. Qian Ye knew it in his heart. No wonder that after Kurosaki Ichigo and others invaded Seraiti, no members of the 5th Division appeared. It turned out to be because of the defense point. Certainly, if the defense point is not good, Qian Ye can take the initiative. Isn't Zaraki Kenpachi just leaving his defense point and looking for the strongest disaster battle? Since Qian Ye triggered a special event to repel the disaster, it would be boring to wait here for soy sauce. So, Qian Ye decided to take the initiative. Rangaku, you are responsible for leading everyone to guard here. Quote. Matsumoto Rangaku grabbed Qian Ye who wanted to drive away. Captain Qian Ye, you are so irresponsible, do you leave it here and leave it alone? Qian Ye saw that all the people in the 5th Division looked at him with the same eyes, and said, I am not leaving you, but you. I don't care, they will follow you. As Matsumoto Rangaku said, he started directly and hugged Qian Ye's arm tightly in his arms. A string of black lines appeared on Qian Ye's head. Special, it's nice to have such a deputy captain. Ahem, it's troublesome. Hanadoro, then I'll leave it to you here. If the travel accident appears on the defense point of our 5th Division, Lee Deshao must not let them break through here, understand? But me, Yamada Hanadoro saw that Qian Ye and Matsumoto Rangaku were about to leave. He knew his strength and was extremely unconfident in his strength. Naturally, he. At this time, Qian Ye said, Hanaro, the 5th Division seats are very strong, don't worry. Qian Ye said this with a guilty conscience, because although he became the acting captain of the 5th Division, he still couldn't resist the name of the seat officer of his division. It doesn't matter if you can't remember the name. From the perspective of Reiatsu, Qian Ye is still a bit capable. Qian Ye is not confident that they can beat Kurosaki Ichigo and other openers, but Kurosaki Ichigo and others will not appear here at all, breaking through from here. Subsequently, Qian Ye took Matsumoto Rangaku and headed towards the north of Seraiti. Qian Ye was there and felt the spiritual power of Kurosaki Ichigo. Chapter 118. Ichigo, long time no see. 3x. Advertise here. At the same time, Kusajishi Yakiru was lying on Zaraki Kenpachi's back, and Zaraki Kenpachi was running towards Qian Ye. #+# Zaraki Kenpachi chose based on his instinct. He thinks he can come here and have a good fight. Regardless of whether he is Lukai or not, his feeling was wrong from the beginning. Because Zaraki Kenpachi's intuition is not against Kurosaki Ichigo and others, but Qian Ye here. Ajien, is it really right here? How do I feel that it is over there? Kusajishi Yakiru, who is also Lukai, pointed to the other side and expressed her opinion. My instinct tells me that it should be this side, where there should be an opponent who can make my Zanpakuto tweet. Well, since it's your instinct, Ajien, let's move forward. Kusajishi Yakiru suddenly tilted his head and asked, Hey, Ajien, are we going to kill the disaster? Zaraki Kenpachi replied, Who knows? Hey, Ajien. Yakienryu, what's wrong? Ajien, are you sure your intuition is correct? Isn't the front of our 11th Division's defensive zone? Kusajishi Yakiru pointed to the front. Although she was a road idiot, she still recognized her defense area. That is to say 517. Zaraki Kenpachi returned to his defense zone after some setbacks. Yep, the place where Kurosaki Ichigo and Shiba Iwawari landed is indeed near the defensive area of the 11th Division. That's why Kurosaki Ichigo will meet Madarame Makaku of the 11th Division. In the original book, Zaraki Kenpachi did not meet Kurosaki Ichigo for the first time because Seraiti was holding a captain meeting. After Zaraki Kenpachi left the first team meeting room, he was lost again. At this time, Kurosaki Ichigo and Shiba Ichigo fell on the streets of Jingalingjung together. The two were quickly discovered by Shinigami, a member of the Gotei 13th Division. Shiba Iwawaki asked, Kurosaki, what should I do? Kurosaki Ichigo said, We have obviously been spotted by Shinigami, who is in the Quiet Palace. We can't stay here, otherwise more and more Shinigami will come. What the hell should I do? Of course I should run first, get rid of these Shinigami first, and then find a way to figure out where Rukia is locked up. While Kurosaki Ichigo was talking, he had already let go, and Shiba Ichigo naturally followed. However, because there were too many Shinigami chasing the two quickly dispersed. 5 minutes later, Kurosaki Ichigo and Shiba Ichigo escaped into the defensive zone of the 11th Division. Oh, my uncle's luck is good, look what I found. Shiba Iwawaki was stopped by a bald Shinigami. Shiba Iwawari turned his head and ran, but the bald Shinigami quickly stopped him again. Hey, you are the catastrophe of the invasion, dare to invade Seraiti, you are not brave. This bald Shinigami is the third seat Madarame Makaku of the 11th Division. Madarame Makaku pulled out Zanpakuto and pointed the tip of the sword at Shiba Iwawashi. Being able to invade into Seraiti means that your strength should be good. Come on, have a good fight with my uncle. Shiba Iwasu turned around and wanted to escape again, but Madarame Makaku Nakan attacked him directly. In the alley on the other side, Kurosaki Ichigo also stopped running forward. Because, in front of him, two people stood. One of them is known by Kurosaki Ichigo. Kurosaki Ichigo, we meet again, and it looks like you have regained the power of Shinigami. That's right, what appeared in front of Kurosaki Ichigo was Reiatsu who perceives him, Qian Ye and Matsumoto Rangaku who came here. Matsumoto Rangaku said with a long tail, Captain Qian Ye, do you know this accident? Oh, when I went to this world, I went to his house for dinner. Then this accident is your friend, Captain Qian Ye. No, I just met once. Qian Ye threw Matsumoto Rangaku's hand holding his arm away. CDEJ, are you going to fight together? Captain Qian Ye, how good you are, I won't participate in the war. Then just stay there. Matsumoto Rangaku widened Qian Ye, and after a glance, he jumped to the wall of the alley, and then stood on it and looked at Qian Ye and Kurosaki Ichigo who were standing in the alley facing each other. Kurosaki Ichigo untied Zanpakuto from his back, who was wrapped in a bandage, and then held it in his hand nervously, looking at Qian Ye. Qian Ye, are you my enemy? Qian Ye replied, I am Shinigami of Gotei Shisanban, and those who invaded Seraiti are all my enemies. I see. Kurosaki Ichigo squeezed Zanpakuto in his hand, knowing that he could only move on if he defeated Qian Ye. Because he has seen the power of Qian Ye, it's useless to escape. He has only one choice now, and that is to defeat Qian Ye. Qian Ye, can you tell me how Rukia is doing? After Qian Ye learned that Kurosaki Ichigo and others were still invading Seraiti to rescue Rukia Kuchiki, he knew that it must be Urahara Kazuki and Yoruichi, and wanted to use this opportunity to enhance the strength of Kurosaki Ichigo and others. Because Qian Ye didn't believe it, Urahara Kazuki and Yoruichi couldn't even know what happened to Seraiti. Okay, teacher Rukia, Matsumoto Rangaku interrupted Qian Ye's words. Captain Qian Ye, this is not in compliance with the rules. Be careful, those who don't like you, take this. Qian Ye also interrupted Matsumoto Rangaku. Ms. Rukia's situation is no secret. Qian Ye, Rukia, where is she now? How is she? Will she be executed by Sokyoku? Qian Ye said, originally, after Mr. Rukia was brought back to Soul Society, because of a first-degree felony, he was sentenced to be imprisoned in the Palace of Crimes for 7 days, and then executed by Sokyoku. Ah, Kurosaki Ichigo was anxious, but he didn't expect Rukia Kuchiki to be sentenced to Sokyoku. But, Kurosaki Ichigo, do you know? It's been almost half a month since teacher Rukia was taken back to Jingling Palace. Kurosaki Ichigo shook Zanpakuto's hand in his hand, tight and tight, still did not catch up. Yoruichi had already told him that when they passed through the boundary, they encountered a rush and came to the Soul Society. The time was off. Damn it, Qian Ye, Rukia isn't she your teacher? Why don't you save her? Qian Ye said. But Mr. Rukia has committed Shinigami's power. It is indeed a first-degree felony. I thought you would save Rukia, I thought you were that kind of person. Kurosaki Ichigo stared at Qian Ye with the wrong eyes. Chapter 119. Spoiler Zaraki Kenpachi, 4x. Advertise here. Qian Ye looked at Kurosaki Ichigo with red silk in his eyes. Qian Ye didn't know whether Kurosaki Ichigo thought that Rukia Kuchiki was in pain, or was really angry at him for not saving Rukia Kuchiki. Kurosaki Ichigo, we only met once, are you sure you know me? Qian Ye. Kurosaki Ichigo clenched the Zanpakuto, who was a few sizes bigger than the normal Wuming Zanpakuto, and was about to rush towards Qian Ye. At this time, Matsumoto Rangaku standing on the wall said, Captain Qian Ye, you are really bad, why are you kidding him? Qian Ye said, Rangaku, you just said that I was not compliant, why are you helping him speak now? Because I didn't know the purpose of their invasion of Jingling Palace before, is to save Rukia. Kurosaki Ichigo heard a turnaround from Matsumoto Rangaku's words, so he hurriedly asked, is Rukia not dead? Matsumoto Rangaku said, of course Rukia is not dead, she is still confessing in the Palace of Crime. Qian Ye glared at Matsumoto Rangaku, and he finally irritated Kurosaki Ichigo. After all, the current Kurosaki Ichigo is too weak for Qian Ye, if it is irritated, it might be a bit stronger. After Matsumoto Rangaku has been the deputy captain of Qian Ye these days, she is not afraid of Qian Ye at all. Therefore, Matsumoto Rangaku faced Qian Ye who was staring at her without panic, and also put out his tongue at Qian Ye mischievously. Kurosaki Ichigo said, Rukia is still alive. Did you save her by Qian Ye? Will she still be punished by Sokyoku? Qian Ye said, who knows? Kurosaki Ichigo, do you remember what I said before? What? The people who invaded Seraiti are my enemies. As soon as Qian Ye's voice fell, he had already flashed away and launched an attack on Kurosaki Ichigo. So fast. Kurosaki Ichigo was shocked, and hurriedly raised Zanpakuto in his hand to defend. But, Kurosaki Ichigo was unable to defend Qian Ye's attack because he was kicked into the air. Qian Ye, why are you in my defense zone? Are you here to fight with me? Little Qian Ye, do you miss your sister? Qian Ye silently looked at Zaraki Kenpachi and Kusajishi Yakiru who waved at him on Zaraki Kenpachi's back. Captain Zaraki, what are you doing? Qian Ye pointed to the lane opposite Zaraki Kenpachi. I saw a human-shaped hole in that alley, and looking through that hole, you could see that there were several alley walls behind, and the same human-shaped holes were also broken. As for Kurosaki Ichigo, naturally it is not here anymore. Yep, the human-shaped holes in the walls of the alleys were left after Kurosaki Ichigo was kicked off by Zaraki Kenpachi. Kurosaki Ichigo suffered only a little trauma after being kicked. He won't actually be kicked that far. After he learned that Rukia Kuchiki had not been executed, Isshin wanted to save someone. Before Kurosaki Ichigo was sent to Seraiti by Shiba Sora, Yoruichi told him that the purpose this time was to save Rukia Kuchiki. Moreover, if you encounter a leader-level existence, you must run away. Qian Ye is the leader of Yoruichiro's squadron. Kurosaki Ichigo was also listening to the big sister on the wall just now, calling Qian Ye the captain of Qian Ye. It shows that Qian Ye is indeed at the captain level. Therefore, Kurosaki Ichigo deliberately used the power of being kicked to stay away from Qian Ye as much as possible, and then thought to know where the confession palace is. His purpose is to go to the confession palace to rescue Rukia Kuchiki. Zaraki Kenpachi replied. I felt that the travel accident here might make me fight a good fight, so I came. By the way, what about the travel accident that escaped here? Qian Ye, did you see it? Qian Ye said silently, that's the one who was kicked off by you, Captain Zaraki. Oh, with excitement on Zaraki Kenpachi's face, he looked at Qian Ye and said, Qian Ye, it's been 2 months from our appointment. It's less than a month. I can't wait, let's fight. Qian Ye said. Captain Zaraki, you weren't the travel disaster you felt that you fled here just now, can you fight a good fight? Don't you look for the travel disaster. Zaraki Kenpachi held Zanpakuto and waved vigorously at the air. Cut, I'm not interested in being kicked so far by me. Qian Ye, now all captains are allowed to fight in Seraiti, this is a good opportunity, come, let's fight as much as we want. Qian Ye had no chance to refuse, because Zaraki Kenpachi had already raised Zanpakuto and attacked Qian Ye. Please ask for flowers. Zaraki Kenpachi's speed is extremely fast. Although it is an ordinary slash, it is not small. Choke. Qian Ye quickly pulled out Zanpakuto from his hand, and then met Zaraki Kenpachi's slashing attack. Qian Ye only felt that the hand holding Zanpakuto's mouth was numb, which is worthy of being flattened by a stranger. Zaraki Kenpachi obviously didn't use kendo skills, and he didn't have any gorgeous Reiatsu techniques. Zaraki Kenpachi only relies solely on strength and Reiatsu covering the blade to perform slashing. But it made Qian Ye feel more pressure than Komamura Sajin's release of sword pressure. This is Zaraki's sword ha. Ha ha ha. Qian Ye, you deserve it. I can block my attack so easily. It seems that I can fight with all my strength with confidence. This blow was just a moment ago, but Zaraki Kenpachi was testing the water to see if Qian Ye could catch his attack. Zaraki Kenpachi did not rush to continue attacking Qian Ye. Because Zaraki Kenpachi turned his head to look at Kusajishi Yakiru who was still lying on his back. Yakienryu, stay with her, don't hinder me from fighting Qian Ye. What Zaraki Kenpachi said of her naturally refers to Matsumoto Rangaku, who was standing on the alley wall at this time, taking out a melon seed from nowhere, and watching a good show. Although Kusajishi Yakiru is small, he is quite agile. She leapt lightly on Zaraki Kenpachi's back, leapt high, and landed lightly in front of Matsumoto Rangaku, paddling her feet to grab Matsumoto Rangaku's chest. Give me something. Matsumoto Rangaku handed the melon seed bag to Kusajishi Yakiru. Kusajishi Yakiru grabbed a hand and sat on the alley wall, watching Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi with Matsumoto Rangaku. Trigger special event. Defeat Zaraki Kenpachi. Yep. Is it a special event again? Qian Ye was overjoyed. Travel disasters such as Kurosaki Ichigo are not so easy to kill. Qian Ye can defeat Zaraki Kenpachi first, and see what special event rewards can't block reminders. I think it shouldn't be bad. Therefore, Qian Ye also had the intent to fight against Zaraki Kenpachi at this time, and he was determined to win. Chapter 120. Zaraki Kenpachi. Reiatsu Defense. 1x. Advertise here. After Qian Ye made up his mind, he decided to agree to a good fight with Zaraki Kenpachi. Then, Qian Ye smiled and looked at Zaraki Kenpachi, and asked. Captain Zaraki, this is your defensive zone. You should be responsible for the losses caused by our rioting here. Regarding this point, Qian Ye felt that he still had to make it clear. After all, Seoul society actually needs to spend money. Qian Ye didn't want the time when his salary as the captain of Hutting 13th Division was punished to repair the streets of Jinglingting. Zaraki Kenpachi didn't mind. Oh. I never care about these, you don't have to worry about it, come on Qian Ye, let's fight as much as we want. After Zaraki Kenpachi felt the intent to fight from Qian Ye, the whole person was excited. He seemed to have heard the sound of the 517 poknife in his hand, which was screaming for a while. Zaraki Kenpachi urged, Qian Ye, come and play as much as you like. As you wish. This time, Qian Ye took the initiative to attack Zaraki Kenpachi. Now that you decide to fight, then have a good fight. One square cut. Brush. In an instant, Qian Ye had Zanpakuto in his hand and came to Zaraki Kenpachi. Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hand, with the aura of a startled dragon going out to sea, slashed towards Zaraki Kenpachi. Okay. Ha ha ha. Facing Qian Ye's sudden attack, Zaraki Kenpachi smiled and swung his sword back. After Zaraki Kenpachi blocked Qian Ye's attack, he immediately launched an attack. Qian Ye took offense as defense, and the two kept swinging their swords and slashing. During this period, Zaraki Kenpachi kept laughing, obviously he was very satisfied with the battle. Qian Ye's strength is enough to make him feel the joy of fighting. Although Zaraki Kenpachi is very satisfied with his fight with Qian Ye, if just watching. Actually, the battle between the two is not interesting, that is, the two continue to slash each other. Both Matsumoto Rangaku and Kusajishi Yakiru who were watching the game understood. The slashes Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi sent to each other could easily cut through the alley wall where they were standing. If the two of them dealt with either Qian Ye or Zaraki Kenpachi's slash, they would never be as easy as Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi. Ha ha ha. Qian Ye, you really didn't let me down. Fighting with you really feels different when fighting with me and those guys in the 11th division. This is the real battle. Ha ha ha. If Madarame Makaku knew that when Zaraki Kenpachi was fighting with him, he would not feel much fun in the battle, and I don't know how he would feel in his heart. As Zaraki Kenpachi spoke, his slashing speed and power more than doubled. Obviously, Zaraki Kenpachi's attack just now didn't use all his strength at all. However, this is not enough, my Zanpakuto can't tweet yet. Qian Ye, Shikai, let me see your stronger power. Brush. Zaraki Kenpachi said with a super strong slash. Qian Ye was forced to retreat by this sudden blow, and had to distance himself from Zaraki Kenpachi. Qian Ye knew that Zaraki Kenpachi would not be Shikai yet, so he didn't say anything to make Zaraki Kenpachi also Shikai. Oh, then Captain Zaraki, wait a minute. Good. Zaraki Kenpachi knew that Qian Ye was going to Shikai, so he waited aside with interest. While he was waiting, he held Zanpakuto and kept slashing towards the air, seeming to be adapting to the strength of fighting Qian Ye. Qian Ye lifted Zanpakuto horizontally in front of him and chanted softly, let's dance. Now Mimi. Captain Zaraki, here I am. Brush. As soon as Qian Ye's voice fell, the Zanpakuto in his hand grew longer, and then he slashed in front of Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki Kenpachi knife pushed Qian Ye's Zanpakuto away, and then flashed aside. A sword, be careful. As soon as Zaraki Kenpachi came to the ground, Kusajishi Yakiru's voice came in his ears. It turned out that when Qian Ye's Zanpakuto was pushed aside by him, he had already changed direction under Qian Ye's control and swept horizontally towards Zaraki Kenpachi's current location. Ding! Zaraki Kenpachi raised Zanpakuto in front of him, blocking Qian Ye's Zanpakuto's attack. But, Zaraki Kenpachi's defense only prevents Qian Ye's Zanpakuto from injuring him, but it cannot stop Qian Ye's Zanpakuto's offensive. ZZZ. At the blade where the two Zanpakuto met, sparks were constantly generated due to the strong friction, and sharp noises continued to be emitted. Both Kusajishi Yakiru and Matsumoto Rangaku who were watching the battle on the alley wall had to use Reiatsu to resist the sound. Zaraki Kenpachi's body was forced to retreat by Qian Ye's Zanpakuto, and finally hit the wall of the alley next to it. Hey, there are two brushes. Zaraki Kenpachi, who pushed himself against the wall to stop Qian Ye's offensive, shouted. Then, Zaraki Kenpachi actually stuck his Zanpakuto's blade to Qian Ye's blade, and quickly slid towards Qian Ye's Zanpakuto's blade, where Qian Ye was. ZZZZ. As Zaraki Kenpachi was advancing in the project, sparks continued to flow in and out under the friction of swords and blades, and the sound he made was even sharper and harsher. Seeing this, Qian Ye's thoughts moved, Zanpakuto in his hand shortened rapidly, and finally returned to normal size. After Zaraki Kenpachi was relieved of pressure, he held Zanpakuto and slashed towards Qian Ye at a faster speed. Qian Ye, you also take my blow. This blow is a full blow to the current state of Zaraki Kenpachi. Swift. Yep. Zaraki Kenpachi's attack failed. Qian Ye disappeared in front of him, flashing behind him. When Qian Ye flashed behind Zaraki Kenpachi, Zanpakuto in his hand was already hacking downward. One gourd split. Qian Ye's attack was as heavy as the sea, like a cage-breaking tiger. Drink. Qian Ye's Zanpakuto hit Zaraki Kenpachi's back, but only the blade went in. This is the Reiatsu defense that Zaraki Kenpachi gives the opponent the most headache when fighting the opponent. 4.9. Even if Zaraki Kenpachi stands still, ordinary people cannot break through Zaraki Kenpachi's Reiatsu defense. Even Qian Ye, now with this blow, he can only submerge the blade on Zaraki Kenpachi's back. Qian Ye sighed in his heart, what a strong Reiatsu defense. Certainly, Qian Ye didn't give his full force in this split. The Reiatsu covered on the blade probably only used the 5 layers of Qian Ye Reiatsu. Just like before, Zaraki Kenpachi tested the waters to see if Qian Ye could take his attack. Qian Ye's attack is also testing the waters. Qian Ye just wants to see how strong Zaraki Kenpachi's Reiatsu defense is. Brush. Zaraki Kenpachi, with his back facing Qian Ye, didn't care about the blade that was slashed on him. The backhand was a sword that slashed towards Qian Ye. Qian Ye, thank you for Tahop's big monthly ticket support, thank you. Chapter 121. Sister Hua's Worries 2x. Qian Ye faced the blow of Zaraki Kenpachi, and can only say that Zaraki Kenpachi is indeed a lunatic. Qian Ye, you are really strong. I haven't encountered it for a long time, and I can cut my opponent directly. And you probably haven't used all your strength yet. Come on, try to chop me with all your strength. A string of black lines appeared on Qian Ye's head. In fact, he didn't like Zaraki Kenpachi's combat mode. Qian Ye didn't want to hack each other close to the lunatic Zaraki Kenpachi. After all, Qian Ye is not a flat killer like Zaraki Kenpachi. In addition to flat cutting, Qian Ye does not like to fight with Kido. Although Qian Ye's Kido has reached the ultimate level, Qian Ye will not give up singing. Every time Qian Ye uses Kido, he needs to sing a mantra stupidly. This made Qian Ye feel that it was too low compared to Aizen and other Kido masters who were able to sing. 23 Therefore, Qian Ye hardly uses Kido to fight. Zaraki Kenpachi saw Qian Ye avoiding his attack, and no longer confronted him head to head. He said loudly, Qian Ye, don't hide. Come and fight. Zaraki Kenpachi said that he attacked Qian Ye who was out of the way at a very fast speed. From his point of view, he needed a sword-to-flesh battle to be enjoyable. Whether he cuts someone or someone else cuts him, in the eyes of Zaraki Kenpachi, it takes a knife to get to the meat. Facing the rushing Zaraki Kenpachi, Qian Ye once again turned Shunko away from him. Then, Qian Ye held Zanpakuto in his arms and sang softly in his mouth. Show me, now Mimihime. When now Mihime appeared in Qian Ye's arms, Zaraki Kenpachi's attack also arrived. Mihime, leave it to you. Naomi nodded, then waved in the direction of Zaraki Kenpachi. Suddenly, a huge spirit sword fell on top of Zaraki Kenpachi's head. Zaraki Kenpachi had to give up his attack on Qian Ye, raised his head, and slashed towards the spirit sword falling in the air. Ding! Zaraki Kenpachi actually split the fallen spirit sword into two. Cut, but that's it. Now Miki raised her hand again, and the spirit sword that had been split in half suddenly turned into two spirit vines and entangled towards Zaraki Kenpachi. Cut, so annoying. Zaraki Kenpachi kept swinging his sword and slashing, cutting off the entwined spirit vines. When now Mihime attacked Zaraki Kenpachi, Qian Ye was not idle. I saw that Qian Ye changed into a Zanpakuto exactly like now Miki. Qian Ye can still use the abilities of the first form in now Mihime's second form. Qian Ye took the transformed Zanpakuto back into the scabbard. Then pull out Zanpakuto quickly. One sword. Brush. Qian Ye pulled Zanpakuto out of the scabbard, and a terrifying sword pressure was sent from Qian Ye's Zanpakuto and flew towards Zaraki Kenpachi. What a strong sword pressure. Matsumoto Rangaku, who was watching the game, let out an exclamation as he watched Qian Ye's sword pressure. Kusajishi Yakiru also forgot to continue eating melon seeds, and was obviously surprised by Qian Ye's sword pressure. Zaraki Kenpachi faced the sword pressure Qian Ye cut at him, and did not choose to dodge. Zaraki Kenpachi's slash did not send out a sword pressure, but it sent out a sharp sword aura. Sword chi versus sword pressure. Brush. Boom. 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 I saw the sword sent by Qian Ye struck Zaraki Kenpachi, and then continued to fly towards the back of Zaraki Kenpachi. Cut the wall behind Zaraki Kenpachi directly, and then it dissipated. Such a big movement naturally attracted a lot of attention. Shinigami, one of the teams who searched for the disaster, looked at the sword crushing past them, and then watching the sword crushing on the ground beside them, leaving scary scars, and the walls that have been destroyed are all shocked. Hey, is this someone fighting against the brigade? This is too strong. Huche voicelessly patted the head of the person who spoke, and said, Idiot, this is Captain Zaraki and Captain Qian Ye fighting. What? Aren't our mission targets those intrusive travel disasters? Why did Captain Zaraki and Captain Qian Ye fight? How do I know why they are fighting? Anyway, it's dangerous. Let's stay away. After Huche voicelessly spoke, he took the lead and walked away, muttering in his mouth. Really, what are these two guys going crazy? If you don't deal with the travel accident properly, you can just fight there, but restrain yourself. This has spread to the defensive area of our 13th squad. The defensive area of the 13th division is next to the defensive area of the 11th division. Well, Huche Qingyan is the third seat of the 13th squad, and concurrently serves as the deputy captain of the 13th squad. Yes, she is only concurrently serving as the deputy captain of the 13th division, equivalent to the deputy captain, but not the deputy captain. This, naturally because of Shiba Kaiyan, the older brother of Shiba Ichigo who came here with Kurosaki Ichigo. Jashiro Yukitaki, who was also in the defensive area of the 13th division, shook his head speechlessly. Just let Zaraki fool around, why should Qian Ye follow him? It seems that Qian Ye will take some more time to turn right. In Jashiro Yukitaki's view, Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi's illegal fight this time, even if they will not be punished afterwards. She hesitated. But, Sister Wa, in fact, you don't need to worry, even if Captain Qian Ye is injured, he still has special healing medicine. Because the entire Seraiti is divided into 13 defense zones. But what if he gets hurt? Unohana Retsu glared at Katetsu Azane who was comforting her. Qian Ye's special healing medicine has run out. The captains of other defensive areas felt speechless after feeling the Reiatsu from Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi because of the fierce battle. They didn't intend to take care of this matter. What they had to do was to guard their defensive area. At least, it will take 517 times for Qian Ye to change from acting captain to formal captain. Would you like to go over and take a look? If Qian Ye is injured, I can go there for treatment as soon as possible. Unohana Retsu shook her head and denied what she had just said. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As long as each squad guards its own defensive area, those invasions will naturally have nowhere to hide. As for the accident of the invasion, they are not anxious. The 4th Division. Qian Ye is so strong, he will definitely not get hurt. Unohana Retsu looked at the direction of Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi fighting, with worry on her face. Unohana Retsu didn't know how she was going. Anyway, she felt the battle between Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi in the distance, just feeling uneasy. Chapter 122. Kiraku's Help. 3x. At this time, a somewhat exaggerated voice rushed through the alley nearby. Oh, Captain Ujihua, I think you should go take a look. After all, the person who fought Qian Ye, but the lunatic Zaraki Kenpachi, Qian Ye is very strong. After all, he doesn't have much combat experience. Unohana Retsu lowered her head and glanced at her heart, which was blocked by her braids. There was a scar there, which was left by her fighting young Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki Kenpachi is actually a stronger presence than her Unohana Retsu. Although Zaraki Kenpachi has now sealed its own strength. At the thought of this, Unohana Retsu felt even more uneasy, and without even confessing to Kotetsu Aizen what was the next thing, she directly displayed her figure and swept away. Hiraku Shunsui, who was sitting on the wall of the alley, took a drink while looking at the back of Unohana Retsu who was going away. Qian Ye, I can only help you get here, as a reward for exposing Aizen's conspiracy. Kotetsu Aizen did not understand the meaning of Kiraku Shunsui, thinking that Kiraku Shunsui really thought Qian Ye would be injured. So Kotetsu Aizen said, Captain Jing, do you really think that Captain Qian Ye can't beat Captain Zaraki? I think Captain Qian Ye is very strong. Hiraku Shunsui did not answer Kotetsu Aizen's question, but looked at Kotetsu Aizen with a smile that fooled little Lori, and shook the half-drunk bottle in his hand. Yongyan sauce, will you come to have a drink with me while your captain is no longer? Kotetsu Aizen turned around and ignored Kiraku Shunsui, who was not serious. She still knew what kind of person Kiraku Shunsui was. Yongyan-chan, don't be so shameless. Hiraku Shunsui said in a coquettish tone. Master Jing, I didn't find you in the defensive area. I still think you have something important to deal with, As a result, what are you doing? Hiraku Shunsui was shocked when he heard the familiar cold voice behind him, and the bottle in his hand almost fell to the ground. When Aizen Nanao speaks to him in this voice, it shows that Aizen Nanao is angry. Nanao-chan, Captain Beijing, are you staying here or come back to the defense zone with me now? Ahem, what, Yongyan sauce, let's drink together next time. Then, Hiraku Shunsui followed Aizen Nanao, and went back to his own defense zone. I have to say that Aizen Nanao is one of the few beings who can discipline Kiraku Shunsui. Just as Kotetsu Aizen watched Kiraku Shunsui follow the back of Aizen Nanao and laughed, the 4th Division team members heard a little anxious voice in their ears. Deputy Captain Yuan, a few injured Shinigami have been sent here, and they need to be treated immediately. Kotetsu Aizen is usually shy and introverted, but when dealing with work, he is also vigorous and resolute. Immediately arranged to the 4th Superior First Aid Room. The first 3 upper-level ambulance rooms of the 4th Division are for Shinigami who is above the Deputy Captain level and Shinigami who needs special rescue. Kotetsu Aizen has already attached great importance to arranging the 4th-level First Aid Room at this time. The 4th Division has the smallest defensive area, because while defending Seraiti, the 4th Division is more responsible for treating the injured Shinigami. At this time, for convenience, the 4th Division built a temporary First Aid Room in the defensive area. Soon, everything was arranged. Kotetsu Aizen came to the 4th-level First Aid Room, and Shinigami, who was sent to him, was already lying here. After the examination, Kotetsu Aizen heaved a sigh of relief and said, although these people will lose their combat effectiveness due to a coma, they have only suffered minor injuries and no major problems. You can treat them with Kaido. Does it need to use special means to wake them up? They have already gone through the battle, so let them rest. Yes, Vice Captain Yongyan. Kotetsu Aizen walked out of the 4th Superior First Aid Room, muttering to himself. The 7 Shinigami who were sent here were obviously knocked down by the same person. It seems that the travel disaster that invaded Seraiti this time was very strong. However, this person is very measured. It seems that the disaster of this invasion is not a bloodthirsty and evil person. Then what are they doing to invade Jingling Pavilion? Kotetsu Aizen waved to Shinigami from the 4th Division and asked him to report the results of her analysis. The injured Shinigami sent here was naturally defeated by Kurosaki Ichigo. After Kurosaki Ichigo learned that Rukia Kuchiki was being held in the Confessional Palace, he began to inquire about the location of the Confessional Palace. At this time, it was not far from the 11th Division defensive area. Kurosaki Ichigo felt the Reiatsu coming from Qian Ye just now, and his heart burst. Fortunately, he reacted quickly just now, and got away from there by the strength of being endured. Otherwise, he will be left there, unable to save Rukia Kuchiki. Mr. Yoruichi really didn't lie to me. With my current strength, when encountering a leader-level existence, I can only escape. Ishida, Sato, you should have heard the news too. Then let's meet in front of the Palace of Crime. The bald-head Shinigami had a slight injury on his body, and he was holding an acquaintance of Kurosaki Ichigo in his hand. The person dragged by Madarame Makaku is the Shiba Iwatsu who encountered him before. Iwawaki. Kurosaki Ichigo wanted to check Shiba's injury, but Madarame Makaku stopped buying with a smile. Kurosaki Ichigo thought to be careful, but not long after running forward, he was stopped by a bald Shinigami. You look like that guy is stronger, come and play a good fight with this uncle. Cut. I said I hate being called bald. Shiba Iwawake really woke up, but very weak. Qian Ye. Thank you Stallion for your 2000-point reward support. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. Kurosaki Ichigo yelled at Shiba Iwawushi who was supported by Madarame Makaku. Iwawushi. Hey, Iwawaki, wake up, what's wrong with you? There are 13 captains in Gotei Shisanban. It seems that I need to be more careful. Shinigami is the third place in the 11th division, Madarame Makaku. As for why Qian Ye fought with Seraiti's other captain, Kurosaki Ichigo didn't care. He now knows the location of the Confession Palace. What he has to do now is to constantly break through the guard zone of the Hudding Shisanban which is between him and the Confession Palace, and then go to the Confession Palace to rescue Rukia Kuchiki. There is no need to say that he cares, it is a good thing for him. Black Kurosaki, hurry up, this bald head is very strong. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Madarame Makaku said that he smashed Shiba Ikaku on the wall of the alley next to him, and Shiba Ikaku fainted again. Chapter 123, Qian Ye's Bankai. 9 Julian Feng. 4x. Kurosaki Ichigo had to fight Madarame Makaku in the third seat of the 11th division on the way to the Confession Palace. The 11th division defensive area. The fight between Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi also came to a feverish stage. Zaraki Kenpachi has been injured in many places, and his Reiatsu defense is not enough to see in front of Qian Ye. However, Zaraki Kenpachi did not shrink from the injury, but became more and more excited. Qian Ye, I let you chop so many times, you let me chop it too. While Zaraki Kenpachi spoke, the speed unexpectedly doubled again. Qian Ye frowned when he saw this, he could feel it, Zaraki Kenpachi should have used all his strength just now. Why can he still improve his own power like this now? Could it be that Zaraki Kenpachi is slowly unknowingly opening his seal to himself? At this time, Unohana Retsu also rushed here. She looked at Zaraki Kenpachi at this time, and her heart felt a bump. She also saw that Zaraki Kenpachi's seal at this time was slowly being released by him. But looking at what Zaraki Kenpachi looks like now, he doesn't seem to know it. Although it is good for Zaraki Kenpachi to unlock his seal. But, Unohana Retsu knows 520 the horror of Zaraki Kenpachi who has completely unlocked the seal. Unohana Retsu didn't want to irritate Zaraki Kenpachi to unlock the seal, Qian Ye, which seemed too dangerous to her. Qian Ye, Zaraki Kenpachi, what are you doing? If you don't guard your defense zone well, what are you fighting here? What? Bang. Zaraki Kenpachi ignored Unohana Retsu who opened his mouth to stop him from fighting with Qian Ye, and Zanpakuto in his hand slashed towards Qian Ye with strong pressure. After Qian Ye and Shunpo avoided, there was a deep gully where Qian Ye originally stood. Zaraki Kenpachi's slash is not sword pressure, but sword intent. The sword intent alone can create such a powerful force. Maybe in Shinigami, only crazy people like Zaraki Kenpachi can do it. After all, Shinigami uses his spiritual power to fight Reiatsu. Unohana Retsu saw that Zaraki Kenpachi was already on her head, and refused to listen to her dissuasion, so she had to say to Qian Ye, don't fight. Qian Ye triggered a special event defeat Zaraki Kenpachi. This is halfway through, and Qian Ye will naturally not stop there. Sister Wa, what are you doing here? CDEJ, Qian Ye asked while actively attacking Zaraki Kenpachi. I will. Unohana Retsu did not say the real reason for her arrival. You have violated the rules, I am naturally here to stop you. Oh, it doesn't matter, Captain Zaraki said, he will take all responsibilities afterwards. Sister Wa, you don't have to worry that I will be punished, right Captain Zaraki? Zaraki Kenpachi said. Who cares about that? Qian Ye, hurry up and get serious. Oh, as you wish. Qian Ye lifted Nayuki Mihime's second form, and then held the real Nao Mihime in his right hand and put his left hand on the blade. Bankai. Juyulianfang. Chang Chang. With a phoenix sound, Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hand changed. The blade turned into a colorful bird shape flying. Moreover, Qian Ye can faintly see a phantom of a colorful bird with a single feather all over his body. And Qian Ye's spiritual power and Reiatsu were doubled at this moment. But don't underestimate this double spiritual power and Reiatsu's improvement. To know, Qian Ye's own spiritual power and Reiatsu have surpassed the captain's level. Under the premise of such a large base, double the spiritual power and Qian Ye of Reiatsu, the increase in strength at this moment is more than doubled. The change of Qian Ye's appearance was not in the mind Zen space when Qian Ye was in Bankai. Because it is in the mind Zen space, now Mimiheim's body is still sitting opposite Qian Ye in the Zanpakuto space. Unable to change her form accordingly. Now Miki wraps her true form around Qian Ye, similar to Zaraki Kenpachi's Reiatsu defense. At this time, Qian Ye not only doubled his spiritual power in Reiatsu. His own defense is even more amazing. I am afraid that Shinigami of the general captain level may not be able to break Qian Ye's defense with a full slash. Zaraki Kenpachi had excitement in his eyes. Bankai. Unohana Retsu has a splendid eye. Bankai. Matsumoto Rangaku and Kusajishi Yakiru who were watching the game also exclaimed, Bankai. Qian Ye felt the current spiritual power in Reiatsu, and was very satisfied. As expected of Zanpakuto's ultimate, Bankai. Although my spiritual power and Reiatsu have only doubled, my combat power has increased more than 10 times compared to the previous state. Boom. As Qian Ye spoke, he unceremoniously pressed Reiatsu towards Zaraki Kenpachi. Boom. Rao is Zaraki Kenpachi, and at this moment it is also Reiatsu who can't bear Qian Ye. It turned out to be holding Zanpakuto and kneeling to the ground on one knee. And the ground seemed to be unable to withstand Qian Ye Reiatsu's pressure. Cracks began to appear on the ground. Zaraki Kenpachi still had excitement in his eyes, but he couldn't stop the body that was constantly being pressed into the ground. So strong. Ha ha ha. So strong. Ha ha ha. Qian Ye, you are so strong. One dance cut. Chang chang. With the sound of a phoenix sound, Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hand cuts towards Zaraki Kenpachi. I saw a scary sword in the shape of a colorful bird, and it fell on Zaraki Kenpachi almost as soon as the phoenix sound rang. Puff. With Zaraki Kenpachi as the source, behind him is a fan-shaped gully that is getting wider and wider. The entire Serai, when using the slash behind Qian Ye Bankai, felt the horror Reiatsu here. They seemed to have a big misunderstanding about Qian Ye's strength before. With such destructive power, Qian Ye's mouth twitched. A team. Although Zaraki Kenpachi was unwilling, he really lost his fighting power at this time and had to fall to the ground unwillingly. These captains, only then did they know. Bang. Zaraki Kenpachi's body was stretched out with a terrible mouth that descended from his shoulders. Almost all the captain's eyes were looking here. Yamamoto Yuan Lujai Chonguo was angry. Qian Ye. You stinky boy. There must be a limit to what you can do. Special. The first time I use Bankai to fight, what should I do if I have no holding power? And, thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. You defeated Zaraki Kenpachi, and you get a special event reward. Spiritual Power Plus 2000. Super Repair Dan X10. Does anyone believe this explanation? Qian Ye. Thank you Stallion for your support. Thank you for your support. This fan-shaped gully spans the entire 11th Squadron defensive area and half of the 13th Squadron defensive area. Chapter 124. Sister Wa, I'm so hot. 1x. Qian Ye was overjoyed when he listened to the prompt sound in his mind. This time the reward turned out to be Spiritual Power Plus 2000. This reward can be said to be very generous, and it deserves to be a special event. By the way, there are 10 Super Repair Pills. Qian Ye naturally checked it out immediately. Super Repair Dan. It can repair all injuries. Repair all injuries. Qian Ye thought that this Super Repair Pill was repairing instruments, repairing Zanpo, swords and the like. Unexpectedly, it is another kind of therapeutic pill. But the repair of all injuries needs attention, and I don't know what it is. When Qian Ye checks the rewards obtained after completing the special event. Unohana Retsu is treating Zaraki Kenpachi. Unohana Retsu found through research that Qian Ye's special healing pills can be used in conjunction with Kaido. At this time, Unohana Retsu was using this method to recover Zaraki Kenpachi's injury. I saw it. Unohana Retsu first squeezed a special healing pill into a powder in her palm, and then controlled it with her Reiatsu, and directly covered the wound of Zaraki Kenpachi with the powder. Originally, the special spiritual power transformed by the special healing medicine needed to wander through the patient's body, and healed only when passing by the place that needed to be treated. And now, through this method, Unohana Retsu saves the trouble of wandering with special spiritual power to find trauma. Let the special spiritual power be able to treat and recover Zaraki Kenpachi's wound in the first time. Qian Ye also found it very novel. As expected to be Sister Wa, it turns out that this special healing medicine can still be used in this way. Ajien, are you all right? Kusajishi Yakiru was on the left side of Zaraki Kenpachi's head, with some worry on his face. Yakienryu, I am very happy today, Qian Ye is so strong. Kusajishi Yakiru said. Little Qian Ye is my brother, of course he is strong. And I can feel that the blow just now was not Qian Ye's true strength at all. I was underestimated, and I didn't even have to fight with all my strength. Ajien, I'm fine at Yachienryu. I just think, maybe I should become stronger. I just felt that I can become stronger. When Zaraki Kenpachi fought Unohana Retsu when he was young, he unconsciously sealed his strength in order to feel the joy of the real battle. So, in fact, Zaraki Kenpachi did not know that he sealed his strength. This time, during the battle between Zaraki Kenpachi and Qian Ye, he felt the pressure from Qian Ye and was slowly unlocking the seal. Qian Ye's surprise was also a surprise at the same time. Zaraki Kenpachi lifted the seal. Why did he have to sacrifice Sister Wa? If Sister Wa must be sacrificed to allow Zaraki Kenpachi to lift the seal, Qian Ye would rather Zaraki Kenpachi's seal not be lifted. But, now, Qian Ye found out. Maybe he can also let Zaraki Kenpachi lift the seal himself. When Qian Ye thought of this, the system prompt sounded in his mind again. Trigger special event. Help Zaraki Kenpachi lift the seal imposed on himself. Close black lens bracket. Yep, now that the special event has been triggered, it shows that Qian Ye can indeed do it. Qian Ye looked at Unohana Retsu and thought, Sister Wa, I saved your life, shouldn't you agree with your body? After Unohana Retsu felt Qian Ye looking at her, he raised his head to look at Qian Ye. When she saw Qian Ye's hot eyes, she didn't know why, and her pretty face became flushed with a brush. Huh, Captain Ujiha, why is your face so red? Matsumoto Rangaku on the side put his finger on his lips and asked with his big eyes flashing. Really? Kusajishi Yakiru put his face directly in front of the kneeling Unohana Retsu's face. For a time, Unohana Retsu's face turned redder, and while pushing Kusajishi Yakiru away, she slapped her face with her hands. It's so hot, aren't you hot? I'm not hot, are you hot at Yachinryu? I'm not hot either, Xiao Qian Ye, are you hot? Unohana Retsu looked towards Qian Ye with a pleading in her eyes. Oh, today's sun is so poisonous, it's so hot. Matsumoto Rangaku watched Qian Ye after the fight with Zaraki Kenpachi, Qian Ye still without a drop of sweat on his face, and a string of black lines appeared on his head. Sudden, Matsumoto Rangaku looked at Unohana Retsu, who was blushing, and then at Qian Ye, who pretended to be hot, her mouth pouted into a zero shape. She seems to understand. Oh, it's really hot. Kusajishi Yakiru said. How hot? What's wrong with you? For flowers. Matsumoto Rangaku pulled up Kusajishi Yakiru and walked in the direction of the Jufin. Yakinryu, shall we eat frozen watermelon? Hearing that there is something to eat, Kusajishi Yakiru, who is a foodie, is also interested. Is there really a frozen watermelon? Of course, when I was the deputy captain of the 10th Division, I asked Toshiro to help me freeze it and put it in my previous dormitory. It's in the dormitory before you. Then let's go quickly, or we will be found and eaten by others. Qian Ye was speechless when he heard this. Kusajishi Yakiru doesn't seem to have a high IQ in terms of road idiots and foodies. If it will be discovered, after so long, it will be discovered long ago. Actually, Matsumoto Rangaku moved from her dormitory in the juvenile division. No, it was after occupying the bedroom of Qian Ye's captain's room. Point 0. Her dormitory in the juvenile division has always been vacant. Because, when she left, she warned the members of the 10th division that no one was allowed to enter her room. On the way, President Yachinryu, let's hold a meeting tonight. Ah, why? Today is neither a day to receive funds nor a day for daily meetings. Kusajishi Yakiru is the president of the Women's Shinigami Association. Matsumoto Rangaku is a director of the Women's Shinigami Association. It is precisely because of this that Kusajishi Yakiru and Matsumoto Rangaku, whose personalities are not at all harmonious, are so familiar with each other. After Matsumoto Rangaku whispered a few words in Kusajishi Yakiru's ear, Kusajishi Yakiru's eyes showed purple sauce. Then, naturally, Kusajishi Yakiru readily agreed to Matsumoto Rangaku's suggestion. Okay. We will notify them to have a meeting tonight after we eat the frozen watermelon. Your injury hasn't fully recovered yet, lie down first. Unohana Retsu glared at Zaraki Kenpachi who wanted to sit up. Zaraki Kenpachi said. I can feel that I am almost better, and I can even fight Qian Ye again. Suddenly, there was an old, powerful, and very angry voice nearby. Zaraki Kenpachi, who else are you going to fight with? After Qian Ye saw the incoming person, he turned around and wanted to drive away. Qian Ye, stop for me. Qian Ye smiled and turned around, looking at the people coming. Captain, why are you here if you are not in a team? Qian Ye, thank you CCQXXX for the big monthly ticket support, thank you very much. Chapter 125. Bald Boy, I will fulfill the promise, 2x. Advertise here. I won't come again, Seraiti will be demolished by you and Zaraki Kenpachi. That's right. The person here is Yamamoto, the captain of Gotei 13th Division. After Yamamoto Motoi Nagisai Shigekuni arrived, Zaraki Janao sat up directly, his wound hurt so much that he grinned, but he didn't care. Unohana Retsu doesn't stop Zaraki Kenpachi anymore. Anyway, the special spiritual power of the special healing medicine is currently treating Zaraki Kenpachi, even if she does not use Kaido to treat Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki Kenpachi's injury can also recover quickly. However, if you cooperate with Kaido of Unohana Retsu, Zaraki Kenpachi's injury will recover more quickly. Captain, I'm not to blame. I was about to deal with the invasion of the accident. How did you know that Zaraki's, May 20th, Captain suddenly rushed out to do something to me, and forced me to fight him? Huh, Yamamoto Yuanlujai Chonguo, as a human spirit who has lived for thousands of years, will naturally not be fooled by Qian Ye so easily. If you don't want to fight, can Zaraki Kenpachi really push you? Qian Ye said. Captain Zaraki is very strong. Yamamoto Motoinagi Sai Shigekuni looked at Zaraki Kenpachi and said, Zaraki, tell me, what's the matter with you? Zaraki Kenpachi didn't care about this at all. He grinned and said, I wanted to find the strongest travel accident to fight, but in the end, I was kicked and kicked away. It was boring to fight with that kind of stuff, so I picked it. Qian Ye. A string of black lines appeared on Yamamoto's head. He thought Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi had made an appointment and had a fight here. After all, he had heard the rumors that Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi had an appointment. Result. Qian Ye really came to find the travel disaster, and Zaraki Kenpachi kicked the travel disaster away, and then pulled Qian Ye to fight. This embarrassed Yamamoto Genryu Sai Shigekuni, but as an old fox, he did not reveal his embarrassment at all. Yamamoto Yuanlujai Chonguo shouted to Qian Ye instead. Qian Ye, you don't want to guard your 5th Division defensive area, what are you doing here? Qian Ye said, I will return to the 5th Division. After Qian Ye finished speaking, he sensed Kurosaki Ichigo's Reiatsu and quickly left here. Captain, Qian Ye didn't mean it. Yamamoto Yuanlujai Chonguo pointed to Qian Ye's departure direction and said, he didn't mean it. Look at where he went. Unohana Retsu just noticed that Qian Ye left in the opposite direction of the 5th Division's defensive zone. I brought Qian Ye back from Zaraki district, I will go and clean him up. Then, Unohana Retsu chased Qian Ye and quickly left here. Yamamoto Motoyanagi Sai Shigekuni looked at Zaraki Kenpachi, who was slowly standing up and trying to move his hands and feet, and shook his head helplessly. Zaraki, I will ask Sasaki to report you the cost of the repair. After Yamamoto Motoyanagi Saijukoku said, Shunpo disappeared here. As for Zaraki Kenpachi, he did not take Yamamoto Motoyasasai Shigekuni's words into his heart at all. Repair costs. Who cares about that stuff? The junction of the 11th Squadron defensive area and the 13th Squadron defensive area. Hoo. Kurosaki Ichigo and Madarame Makaku stepped aside at the same time, then both panted heavily. There are many places in the two of them, obviously they have experienced fierce battle. Wow, what are you? Madarame Makaku pointed to the hilt of his Zanpakuto knife and said, of course it is hemostatic medicine. Kurosaki Ichigo was speechless, just when he thought it was a little shameless. He felt something flying towards him with the wind behind him. Kurosaki Ichigo held the flying object backhand in his hand, which turned out to be a pill. This is. Kurosaki Ichigo turned around, then his face changed drastically. I saw Qian Ye faintly surrounded by a colorful bird on his body, slowly walking towards this side. Qian Ye. The battle over there is over. Just now. Kurosaki Ichigo felt the terrifying Reiatsu erupted there, and also saw from a distance the Seraiti destruction caused by Qian Ye's last blow to Zaraki Kenpachi. What Kurosaki Ichigo didn't expect was Qian Ye, who slowly walked towards him at this time, was unscathed, except that the death tyrant pretended to be a little messy. Take it. That's healing medicine. Kurosaki Ichigo didn't hesitate when he heard the words, and directly swallowed the pills Qian Ye threw to him. He quickly felt the special spiritual power in his body, and then found that the injury on his body was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Qian Ye raised his hand and threw a special healing medicine to Madarame Makaku. Bald boy, I'm here for the appointment. Yep. Madarame Makaku also took the special healing medicine, and then looked at Qian Ye suspiciously. Qian Ye had arrived at a distance of less than 5 meters between two people. Baldhead, I have learned Bankai. Qian Ye pointed to Zanpakuto who hadn't lifted Bankai in his hand. According to the previous agreement, I will continue to fight with you that I didn't finish the previous 2 times. Madarame Makaku stared blankly at Zanpakuto in Qian Ye's hand, and then at the form of Qian Ye now wrapped in illusory colorful birds. Madarame Makaku knew that Qian Ye had indeed finished Bankai. Kurosaki Ichigo only felt that Qian Ye's Reiatsu was unfathomable and could not perceive his head at all. At this time, Qian Ye belongs to the state of Bankai, and Kurosaki Ichigo can naturally perceive Reiatsu on Qian Ye. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Qian Ye paused and continued, because the battle on my side is about to end soon. He knew that if Qian Ye refused to let him leave, he didn't have the strength to leave here at all. As soon as Kurosaki Ichigo raised his foot, a sword pressure passed in front of him, leaving a terrible gully on the ground in front of him. Madarame Makaku never expected that Qian Ye could complete Bankai so quickly. Kurosaki Ichigo, you first recover from the injury, and when I complete the agreement with the bald boy, 4.9 will come to take care of you. Damn it. Then quietly wanted to leave here. He didn't know that Qian Ye actually completed Bankai 3 years ago. When Kurosaki Ichigo saw Qian Ye came here, he not only gave him healing medicine, but also seemed to fight against Madarame Makaku who was fighting with him. Kurosaki Ichigo said, Qian Ye, I need to save Rukia, isn't Rukia your teacher? Just let me go. Kurosaki Ichigo, if I were you, take advantage of when I didn't do anything to you, take a break and recover. Qian Ye said, sorry, I am the captain of the 5th division of Seraiti. Anyone who invades Seraiti is my enemy. I thought that after Qian Ye really learned Shikai, he completed Bankai in less than 2 months. Result. Chapter 126, Bankai. Ryuman Hozukimaru. 3x. Advertise here. 5 minutes later. Madarame Makaku's injuries have fully recovered. He only suffered minor external injuries, so he fully recovered in less than 5 minutes. Qian Ye said. Bald boy, come on. Show your Bankai, and then come over. Madarame Makaku gritted his teeth, although he was a fighting freak. But Qian Ye's Reiatsu at this time made him feel desperate. He did not intend to be here in Bankai, but here is Seraiti. If he is in Bankai here, it is equivalent to telling all Shinigami that he Madarame Makaku has learned Bankai. Because of his own plan, Madarame Makaku does not intend to let everyone know that he has learned Bankai now. But, Madarame Makaku himself made an agreement with Qian Ye, and after Qian Ye learned Bankai, he used Bankai to fight Qian Ye. Qian Ye, whose strength is clearly far above him, is facing him in the state of Bankai. Madarame Makaku knew that he could no longer hide and tuck. Kurosaki Ichigo, you are optimistic about this uncle, just now it was this uncle who let you, now this is the true strength of this uncle. When Madarame Makaku fought Kurosaki 23 Ichigo, he had already become Shikai. At this time, Madarame Makaku was directly Bankai. He saw Hozukimaru, who turned into a spear, in his hand and shouted. Bankai, Ryuman Hozukimaru. Boom. Suddenly, the spear in Madarame Makaku's hand changed its appearance. From a long spear, it became a weapon similar to that used by a monk. Ryuman Hozukimaru consists of 3 huge blades, 2 of which are held by Madarame Makaku, and the other is carried by Madarame Makaku on his back. At the same time, Madarame Makaku's Reiatsu has also been greatly improved. If before his Reiatsu was infinitely close to the deputy captain. So now, Madarame Makaku's Reiatsu is above the general captain and below the super captain. Although, Madarame Makaku's Reiatsu has been greatly improved. It's a pity that I can't see enough in front of Qian Ye. Kurosaki Ichigo on the side looked a little dumbfounded. Bankai, what is that? At this time, Kurosaki Ichigo not only did not learn Bankai, but also never heard of it. Qian Ye, this is my uncle's Bankai, I didn't let you down. Let me tell you first, this uncle's Ryuman Hozukimaru is very destructive, you must not die. Qian Ye smiled and said, who are you scaring the bald boy? If the dragon pattern on the blade on your back is completely dyed red, it may still pose a threat to me. As for now, you are screaming. Come and try. Madarame Makaku was surprised when he heard this. Qian Ye actually knows the secret of his Bankai. He has never shown it in front of Qian Ye. So far, the only people who have met Bankai are Yasugawa Yuki and Abarai Renji. As the captain of the 11th division, Zaraki Kenpachi only knew that Madarame Makaku had learned Bankai, but he had never seen it before. Madarame Makaku was already shocked that Qian Ye knew about his Bankai. Did not expect. Qian Ye unexpectedly knew the secret of his Bankai. Madarame Makaku's Bankai, Ryuman Hozukimaru, belongs to the slow-heating type. When Bankai was just started, it was only able to improve his Reiatsu, but Ryuman Hozukimaru's real power. However, it is necessary for Madarame Makaku to use Ryuman Hozukimaru to slowly improve in the slash with the enemy. When Madarame Makaku slashes with the enemy, the dragon pattern on the blade on the back will slowly be dyed red. Ryuman Hozukimaru has 3 huge blades, when the blade behind Madarame Makaku is completely dyed red. Ryuman Hozukimaru's destructive power will be maximized. And this secret, even if they met Madarame Makaku Bankai's Yasugawa Yumashika and Abarai Renji, they don't know. Qian Ye, how did you know that I have learned Bankai and know my Bankai secret? Qian Ye said. Don't talk nonsense, quickly cut it over. Looking at Kurosaki Ichigo's anxious look, you obviously can't wait. A black line appeared on Kurosaki Ichigo's head, and he was really anxious now. It's not that you want to fight Qian Ye in a hurry. But thinking about how to get out of here, and then go to the Confession Palace to rescue Rukia Kuchiki. What? Madarame Makaku ate the huge blade with both hands and slashed towards Qian Ye. He knew that Qian Ye was very strong, so he didn't have any spare energy. Facing Madarame Makaku's attack, Qian Ye stood still and did not move. Kang. Yep. After Madarame Makaku's slash fell towards Qian Ye, he slashed directly onto the phantom of the colorful bird around Qian Ye. Qian Ye stood there without any movement, and the phantom of the colorful birds around him blocked Madarame Makaku's attack. Qian Ye, unscathed. Madarame Makaku constantly wielded a huge blade and slashed towards Qian Ye. Pity. They were all blocked by the colorful bird shadows around Qian Ye. Madarame Makaku's attack could not break Qian Ye's defense at all. But, the dragon pattern on the blade behind Madarame Makaku is constantly dyed red. Before long, the dragon pattern will be completely dyed red. The reason why Qian Ye is not rushing to fight back now is not to pretend to be a cup, but to see how powerful Ryuman Hozukimaru is. A few minutes later, Ryuman Hozukimaru's dragon pattern was finally completely dyed red. At this time, Madarame Makaku's momentum seems to have changed. With a loud shout, he exhausted his 520 body's spiritual power and Reiatsu, holding Ryuman Hozukimaru and slashing towards Qian Ye. Kurosaki Ichigo on the side felt the blow of Madarame Makaku at this time, and his face was full of shock. He knows. If he faced Madarame Makaku's blow, even if you don't die, you may only have one breath left, which is similar to being killed directly. Qian Ye did not answer Madarame Makaku, but instead swung his sword at Madarame Makaku with Zanpakuto. Madarame Makaku looked at Qian Ye in disbelief. Qian Ye, is your Bankai blessed for defense? Qian Ye remained unscathed, but it still failed to break through the colorful bird shadow defense on Qian Ye's body. Of course not hot, and very strong. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. In Kurosaki Ichigo's view, Madarame Makaku hit Qian Ye with such a strong blow. Pity. Only then did Kurosaki Ichigo know that Zanpakuto can still Bankai. Is the preheated Ryuman Hozukimaru weak? Behind Qian Ye, the entire street was almost destroyed. It's impossible. Damn it. Ryuman Hozukimaru's powerful destructive power smashed the street ground where Qian Ye was standing. Pity. If Madarame Makaku had just used Bankai to fight him, he would have lost. Only then did Kurosaki Ichigo know that Shinigami of Soul Society is so strong. Too strong. Chapter 127. Yoruichi, human form appears. 4x. Advertise here. After Yamamoto Modonyagi arrived at the place where Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi were fighting, Qian Ye drove away. And Unohana Retsu also followed Qian Ye, chasing Qian Ye away. When Unohana Retsu came to Qian Ye, he happened to see it. Qian Ye swung a sword at Madarame Makaku. Then, puff. A bloodbath appeared on Madarame Makaku. Boom. Madarame Makaku fell straight back and hit the ground hard. You have completed the agreement with Madarame Makaku, and you will receive an event reward, Linka plus 200. You defeated Madarame Makaku and received a hidden event reward, Spiritual Power plus 300. A string of black lines appeared on Unohana Retsu's head. What is Qian Ye doing? Why are you looking for people to fight everywhere? Qian Ye, what are you doing? Qian Ye said. Sister Wa, why are you here again? The captain asked me to come and clean you up. Qian Ye looked at Unohana Retsu and was a little speechless. If you clean up, I will clean up. What a blush. Ahem, Madarame Makaku seems to be seriously injured. Sister Wa, would you like to treat him? Unohana Retsu looked at Madarame Makaku, who was lying on the ground with blood on his body, and then ran to help him treat him. After Qian Ye had the experience of fighting Zaraki Kenpachi last time, he already knew the power of his attack after Bankai. Therefore, when Qian Ye attacked Madarame Makaku this time, he deliberately controlled his power. Qian Ye's attack on Madarame Makaku this time severely injured Madarame Makaku and made him lose his combat effectiveness. At the same time, it did not cause serious damage to the streets of Seraiti. After all, if you can't even control your own power, then you can't be considered a qualified master. Well, at least Qian Ye thinks so. While Unohana Retsu was treating Madarame Makaku, Qian Ye turned and looked aside Kurosaki Ichigo, who looked a little silly. Kurosaki Ichigo, now it's you. Unohana Retsu had seen Kurosaki Ichigo a long time ago, but he didn't take Kurosaki Ichigo to heart. After all, Kurosaki Ichigo at this stage is only high in spiritual power, but Reiatsu is still very low. Otherwise, he would not be able to suppress the whiteness in his body. Kurosaki Ichigo's Reiatsu was promoted after he learned Hollow. However, Kurosaki Ichigo deserves to be the existence of the protagonist aura. Kurosaki Ichigo has high spiritual power and low Reiatsu. After learning Hollow, Reiatsu directly got a qualitative leap. Become high spiritual power, high existence of Reiatsu. At this time, Kurosaki Ichigo, only in the underground of Urahara store, learned Shikai, and initially mastered the skills of Crescent Moon. When Qian Ye talked to Kurosaki Ichigo, he had already pressed Reiatsu all over towards Kurosaki Ichigo. Kurosaki Ichigo only felt unable to move, even unable to speak. Only then did he know how big the gap between him and Qian Ye was at the captain level. Brush. Qian Ye flashed and appeared in front of Kurosaki Ichigo. Qian Ye hit the handle of Zanpakuto's knife in his hand and hit Kurosaki Ichigo's stomach. Wow. Kurosaki Ichigo suddenly vomited bitterness, and his body was bent into a bow with pain. At this time, a somewhat petite figure, Shunpo appeared, and then snatched Kurosaki Ichigo from Qian Ye. The person here is Shihuan Yoruichi, who has changed from a black cat form to a human. With Qian Ye's current strength, Yoruichi's Shunpo was strong, but he couldn't take Kurosaki Ichigo away from him. Yoruichi was able to save Kurosaki Ichigo from Qian Ye so easily. Naturally, Qian Ye released the water. Qian Ye knew that Kurosaki Ichigo was rescued by Yoruichi. Yoruichi will take Kurosaki Ichigo to her secret base and teach Kurosaki Ichigo to learn Bankai. You or you. Obviously, this is the first time Kurosaki Ichigo has seen Yoruichi in human form. Ichigo, can't you tell my Reiatsu? You are Mr. Yoruichi. Are you not a cat? Why? Humph. Yoruichi no longer paid attention to Kurosaki Ichigo, but looked at Qian Ye and said, You are Qian Ye. Qian Ye nodded. Hello, Yoruichi. You know me. Oh, did you hear Kurosaki Ichigo call me Mr. Yoruichi? Qian Ye shook his head. Shihuan Yoruichi, I often go to the underground paradise where you and the store manager Urahara are. Yep. Speaking of which, my Shikai and Bankai both learned there. Yep. Si Feng Yoruichi noticed that Qian Ye is still in Bankai status. She was a little shocked. The news she learned from Urahara Kazuki was that Qian Ye just learned Shikai not long ago. Now learn Bankai. Qian Ye, since you used my place, can you let me take Kurosaki Ichigo away now? Qian Ye nodded. My task is to guard against my own defense zone. Speaking of which, this is not my defense. Yoruichi knew that Qian Ye had acquiesced, and she could take Kurosaki Ichigo away. Then, Yoruichi nodded to Qian Ye, and then a Shunko disappeared in place. When she appeared again, she was already far away from here. After Unohana Retsu stabilized Madarame Makaku's injury, she stood up and said, Qian Ye, would you just let Yoruichi take Kurosaki Ichigo away? Qian Ye said. Oh, it is indeed Miss Yoruichi, her Shunko is too powerful, I am powerless. A string of black lines appeared on Unohana Retsu's head. If she can't see that Qian Ye is releasing water, then she might as well be stupid. Qian Ye, do you know why Kurosaki Ichigo they want to invade Seraiti? What do you want to do? Qian Ye actually knew it. Don't you just want to use this opportunity to make Kurosaki Ichigo and others stronger? Maybe they don't know. Although Kurosaki Ichigo was rescued by Miss Yoruichi, there seem to be several travel accidents in Seraiti that haven't been caught. I'll take it down and take it as a reparation. Qian Ye first made a fuss with Zaraki Kenpachi, and even alarmed the captain to be there in person. But Rukia is all right. After all, then came here again to buy Madarame Makaku as a serious injury. Unohana Retsu was puzzled. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Why don't you just want to save Rukia Kuchiki? Unohana Retsu and Shunko stopped Qian Ye, who wanted to leave. Then I don't know what she thinks. Unohana Retsu said. Lee's with Yoruichi's ability, since she is here at Seraiti, it is impossible not to know the real situation of Rukia. Unohana Retsu felt that Qian Ye might have to write something again. Sister Wa, I have left beforehand. Unohana Retsu said. Okay. But I have to be with you, you can't cause trouble anymore. Chapter 128. Sister Wa, I will take you to fly. 1x. Unohana Retsu wanted to go with Qian Ye, but Qian Ye did not refuse. For Qian Ye, Unohana Retsu would follow if he wanted to. Anyway, Qian Ye didn't really intend to make trouble next, but planned to complete the special event triggered before. Qian Ye released Bankai status, but did not release Zanpakuto's Shikai. Brush. Qian Ye gave birth to a pair of spirit wings behind him, smiled and stretched out his hand towards Unohana Retsu. Sister Wa, do you need me to drive you? Unohana Retsu looked at Qian Ye suspiciously. Carry me. What do you mean? Qian Ye said. I will take you to fly. Unohana Retsu lowered her head for a moment, and finally replied in a low voice, okay. After seeing Unohana Retsu's promise, Qian Ye gently stopped her waist, then flapped the spirit wings on the back, and flew in the direction of Inoue Orihime he felt. Originally, when Orihime fell from the sky, she was with Ishida Yulong. However, the two met a deputy captain Shinigami halfway through. Ishida Yulong and Inoue Orihime learned from each other that Rukia Kuchiki is now locked up in the Confession Palace. Ishida Yulong stayed to fight the deputy captain, while Inoue Orihime left first. 520 After 10 minutes. Inoue Orihime broke into the defensive area of the juvenile team. At this time, Inoue Orihime was surrounded by Hinamori Momo with more than a dozen players from the decimal division. Hinamori Momo has not yet emerged from the Aizen incident, and the sadness in her bones can be vaguely seen in her eyes. Rukia Kuchiki was brought back from this world by her and Abarai Renji. Of course, Inoue Orihime is not aware of this. You said you are here to save Rukia Kuchiki. We are Miss Rukia's friends, can you let me go to the Palace of Crime? Hinamori Momo's pupils kept shrinking, with a terrible expression on his face. If it weren't for Rukia Kuchiki, Captain Aizen wouldn't be forced to leave Soul Society by Qian Ye, I blame Rukia Kuchiki. Inoue Orihime stepped back in fright. For some reason, she felt that Hinamori Momo in front of her seemed a little distorted. Ms. Rukia is very nice, is there any misunderstanding in this? Misunderstanding. Get her up for me. Yes, Deputy Captain. The members of the 10th Division did not resist the order of Hinamori Momo as their new deputy captain. After all, their mission this time was to deal with the disaster of the invasion. As for what kind of person Rukia Kuchiki is, and what these travel accidents want to do, it has nothing to do with them. Don't come here. When Inoue Orihime was about to unleash her full manifestation power, the Shinigami team members who rushed towards her stopped. Hinamori Momo gritted his teeth and looked into the air bitterly. Qian Ye. That's right. In the air. Qian Ye and Unohana Retsu stood in the air. Qian Ye embraced Unohana Retsu's waist, and didn't know if Unohana Retsu was afraid of falling, so his hands tightly wrapped Qian Ye's neck. Yo, Deputy Captain Hinamori Momo, how have you been doing well recently after you transferred from my 5th Division team? Hinamori Momo shouted almost hoarsely. Qian Ye, the 5th Division is not yours, it is the captain of Aizen. You are just temporarily acting captain of the 5th Division. When the captain of Aizen returns, the captain of the 5th Division is still the captain of Aizen. Qian Ye smiled and said, but now I am the captain of the 5th Division. As for the Aizen in your mouth, he is now a traitor to the Soul Society. You know that the entire Guardian 13th Division is now working hard to improve its current strength. Bar. Of course Hinamori Momo knew that this was an order from the captain himself. Qian Ye, what do you want to say? Now the entire Soul Society treats Aizen as an enemy. As long as you think he was driven away by me, don't you think you are ridiculous? Hinamori Momo said. Qian Ye, you lied to everyone that Captain Aizen's Zanpakuto has real ability to manipulate people's five senses, but... Weizentao stared at Qian Ye and shouted, CDEJ, but, I have been with Captain Aizen for so long, he has never manipulated my five senses. That's you stupid enough. Aizen doesn't need to use Kyoka Suigetsu's ability to manipulate your five senses, you will be stupidly used by him as he pleases. You nonsense, Captain Aizen is not that kind of person. Qian Ye has a headache. It seems that this silly boy will not give up if he is not hurt by Aizen Sōsuke himself once. That's it. Qian Ye does not intend to continue arguing with Hinamori Momo. Instead, Unohana Retsu said, Vice Captain Hinamori Momo, whether Aizen Sōsuke is a traitor to Soul Society, is the captain and all the captains of Gotei 13th Division. They made the conclusion together. If you have objections to this, you can do it yourself. Keep it, but. Unohana Retsu's voice was cold. However, what kind of person Qian Ye is, it is not your turn to slander. If you continue to speak harshly to Qian Ye, don't blame me for being impolite to you. Sister Wa, are you protecting me like this? Unohana Retsu blushed. Aizen Sōsuke wanted to use Sokyoku's punishment to take out Hōgyoku from Rukia Kuchiki's body, so she offered to impose Sokyoku's punishment on Rukia Kuchiki. Inoue Orihime was obviously surprised by Unohana Retsu's words. Miss Rukia, isn't she going to be punished by Sokyoku? Qian Ye decided to finish writing the Shinigami story. Although Qian Ye wrote poorly, after all, he had to have a beginning and an end, and then he would listen to the reader's great suggestions and rewrite it. She looked nervously at Inoue Orihime and said, your abilities are interesting, but your abilities seem to be more suitable for support than fighting. Let me go. She defended Qian Ye in such a way in front of Qian Ye, isn't it? Then, how could she forget that she was still held in Qian Ye's arms? Inoue Orihime said, I can also fight. But I want to take the Confession Palace to save Miss Rukia. Retreat. With your strength, it is impossible to break through the defensive zone of Seraidi's various teams. After Qian Ye released Unohana Retsu fell to the ground lightly. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Rukia is just being locked up in the Confession Palace to repent. When the time is up, she will naturally be released. Why are you so persistent to save her? Oh, Unohana Retsu said. It was originally like this, but after Aizen Sōsuke's conspiracy was exposed, her sentence of Sokyoku was cancelled, but she arbitrarily gave the power of Shinigami to the residents of the world, and it was indeed a crime of Soul Society. A felony of the first degree. With many of our captains helping her intercede, Rukia only needs to stay in the Confession Palace and repent for 1 month before she can come out. Shinigami is not allowed to give the power of Shinigami to the living residents without authorization. This is the rule set by the captain himself. Unohana Retsu can't wait to hide in Qian Ye's arms at this time, but it's like that chapter 129. Kuritsuchi Mayuri and Ishida Ryu 2x. Advertise here. In Byakuya Kuchiki, the righteous brother of Rukia Kuchiki, he had no objection to Aizen Sōsuke's proposal. Captain Yamamoto Motoi Nagisai Shigekuni naturally agreed to Aizen Sōsuke's proposal and sentenced Rukia Kuchiki to Sokyoku. Later, when the Aizen Sōsuke incident broke out, the team leader Yamamoto Motoinagi Sai Shigekuni knew that it was Aizen Sōsuke's conspiracy. In addition, Qian Ye told the captain that the reason why Rukia Kuchiki did not resist, he followed Abarai Renji and others back to cooperate in exposing Aizen Sōsuke's conspiracy. In addition, after Aizen Sōsuke captured Hōgyoku and fled to Hueco Mundo, almost all the captains of the Gotei 13th Division pleaded for Rukia Kuchiki. Then, Rukia Kuchiki's sentence became a month of penance in the Palace of Crime. When Inoue Orihime heard Unohana Retsu's explanation, his face was filled with joy and excitement. Really? Unohana Retsu nodded. Well, in less than a week, Rukia can be released. Qian Ye also put away the spirit wings and fell to the ground, saying, Sister Wa, she started a travel accident, you tell her what to do with so much. Unohana Retsu said, I just told her the truth. Mr. Qian Ye, thank you. Inoue Orihime bent towards Qian Ye. Qian Ye asked puzzledly, what are you thanking me for? Thank you for saving Miss Rukia. Why do you think I saved teacher Rukia? Inoue Orihime smiled and said, because Ms. Rukia is your teacher. All right. This logic seems correct. The act of invading Seraiti is equivalent to being an enemy of the entire Seraiti. We are here to save Miss Rukia. Now that I know that Miss Rukia is okay, I feel relieved. Wow. Inoue Orihime hasn't reacted yet, and the person has been knocked out by Qian Ye's palm. Qian Ye directly grabbed Inoue who fell on the ground, and then threw it to Unohana Retsu. Sister Wa, she will be handed over to you, I will continue to clean up other travel accidents. After Qian Ye finished speaking, his figure had disappeared in place. After the incident, Unohana Retsu also had no face to face Qian Ye, so he did not follow. Vice Captain Hinamori Momo, I took this accident away, you don't have any comments. Although Hinamori Momo was unwilling, he did not object. After Unohana Retsu left with Inoue Orihime who was knocked out by Qian Ye, Hinamori Momo let out a loud shout. The Jubilee team member next to him knew that his new deputy captain was in a bad mood at this time, and they were afraid to speak. After Ishida Yulong struggled to defeat the vice captain who troubled him. Immediately encountered the existence of the captain level. Unexpectedly, there is still a Quincy in this world, which really surprised me. That's right, Ishida Yulong met Kuretsuchi Mayuri, the captain of the 12th squad. Unfortunately, you have no research meaning for me. What do you mean? What do you mean? You understand it. After Kuretsuchi Mayuri said, he looked at Ishida Ryukai and laughed. I have to say that Kuretsuchi Mayuri is really begging sometimes. Ishida Yulong was really itchy with anger, and said, are you a participant in the incident that year? The incident of the year. What do you mean? Is Shinigami didn't come to help in time when your Kinzier faced the void, or after your Kinzier suffered a heavy loss, Shinigami fell into trouble for you? When Ishida Yulong heard this, his expression was completely cold. However, Kuretsuchi Mayuri didn't care at all, but continued to proudly say. Speaking of which, I really got a very good research product at that time. Ishida Yulong is about to explode. Research product? What exactly are you referring to? Kuretsuchi Mayuri said. You are really stupid. Can't you tell me what the research product I am talking about? Of course it is your Quincy. I remember an old man among them. Brush. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's words were interrupted. Because, a spirit arrow flew towards him. Kuretsuchi Mayuri looked at the spirit arrow passing through his left arm. Huh, you are really interesting. You can hurt me directly. Unfortunately, my research products are enough, otherwise you must be a good research product. Ishida Yulong is now close to running away. He naturally understood what Kuretsuchi Mayuri's research product meant. And, he guessed that the old man in Kuretsuchi Mayuri's mouth. For flowers. It might be his grandfather. The reason why Ishida Yulong interrupted Kuretsuchi Mayuri was not only anger, but also because he didn't want to hear his grandfather's miserable end after falling into Negri's hands. I am going to kill you. Oh. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's left arm was shot through by the spirit arrow shot by Ishida Ryu, but there was no bleeding, and the wound was automatically healed at this moment. Kill me. Just relying on you as a mere quintessence, can you do it? Ishida Yulong didn't get irritated by the title of mortal quintessence. After all, he was angry enough now. And, Ishida Yulong didn't recognize his father, and since his grandfather's accident, he has been calling himself the last quintessence. And he felt that he did not have the power of a quince now, but he was also worthy of the name of a quintessential quince. Point 0. Brush. Ishida Yulong stopped talking nonsense, and quickly shot 3 spirit arrows at Kuretsuchi Mayuri. Kuretsuchi Mayuri learned that Ishida Yuryu's spirit arrow could break through his Reiatsu defense and injured him, but he didn't get too big, and continued to stand there and let Ishida Ryu attack. At this time, he pulled out Zanpakuto, ready to block the spirit arrow shot by Ishida Ryu. A sword fell from the air and shot down all the spirit arrows that had been shot in front of Kuretsuchi Mayuri. Kuretsuchi Mayuri looked up and looked at Qian Ye standing on the wall of the alley. Little brother Qian Ye, didn't you just fight with Zaraki Kenpachi? Why did you come to my defense zone? Qian Ye looked helpless and said, Brother Nirvana, you don't know, the captain personally came to me and Captain Zaraki to fight. Ha. No wonder you didn't continue fighting. Kuretsuchi Mayuri thought it was Yamamoto Motoi Nagisai Shigekuni who prevented Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi from fighting. But I don't know. Qian Ye and Zaraki Kenpachi have already decided the winner. When Ishida Yulong saw Qian Ye's appearance, his face changed drastically. Although he was very angry at the moment, he wanted to kill Kuretsuchi Mayuri, who didn't know how strong he was. But he knows how strong Qian Ye is. Even if he has now put on the spirit gloves handed down by the ancestor of Quincy. His strength has been greatly improved. But Ishida Yulong knew in his heart. He is still not Qian Ye's opponent. Where? Chapter 130. Lord Qian Ye, leave it to me. 3x. Advertise here. At this time, Ishida Yulong watched Qian Ye and Kuretsuchi Mayuri talking and laughing, and didn't take him to heart. While feeling a little inferior in my heart, I also thought about how to retreat. When Ishida Yulong fights, he always does not rely on brute force, but on wisdom. Even if his heart was burning with anger, but he knew that he could not be an opponent to Qian Ye, his reason was not dominated by hatred. He knew that what he had to do now was how to get out of here. Brother Nirvana, how can I let this disaster happen to me? Kuretsuchi Mayuri took Zanpakuto back into the scabbard. You want to make up for it? Qian Ye smiled and said, Brother Nirvana understands me. My research on the Quincy is over, I will leave it to you. Nirvana. May 20th, Yuli turned around and left immediately. After walking a few steps, he paused. By the way, the last time you asked me to make something for you, I was about to succeed. It will be about 7 days away. I can make it, and then I will let Yinmeng to inform you. Really? As expected, Brother Ni, so soon. Kuretsuchi Mayuri interrupted Qian Ye with a cold snort. Compared with the person who developed this device, I am nothing at all. Kuretsuchi Mayuri was not angry with Qian Ye, but was unhappy with what he thought was the expert in the development of spiritual space devices Urahara Kazuki. Qian Ye didn't explain this, so let Kuretsuchi Mayuri continue to misunderstand. After Kuretsuchi Mayuri left, Qian Ye looked at Ishida Yulong who stood in place, thinking about how to get out of here. Mr. Ishida, do you remember me? We met in front of Kurosaki Hospital last time. Ishida Ryu said, of course I remember, but the first time I saw you was not at Kurosaki's house. Qian Ye was taken aback for a moment, then reacted. Ishida Yulong pointed out that the first time he saw Qian Ye, it should be the place where Manos Grande appeared. Mr. Ishida, now Kurosaki Ichigo has been taken away by Yoruichi, and I have also defeated Misumi. Now it has fallen into our hands. Do you want to catch it yourself, or you want me to do it? Ishida Yulong was shocked when he heard this. Mr. Yoruichi took Kurosaki. Well, I had already taken Kurosaki down. Unfortunately, Yoruichi showed up and took Kurosaki away. Ishida Yulong was shocked again. He knew that the black cat who claimed to be Yoruichi was not simple, but he didn't expect that the black cat was so powerful that it could rescue Kurosaki from Qian Ye. Inoue, is she okay? Oh, it's okay. After being knocked out by me, I was taken to the 4th division to look at it. After Ishida Yuryu invaded Seraiti, after a few battles, he naturally knew that Seraiti's Shinigami was divided into 13 teams. The job of Shinigami of Gotei Juban is to protect Seraiti. Ishida Yuryu was relieved to learn that Kurosaki Ichigo was rescued by Yoruichi and that Inoue Orihime was not in danger of life. Qian Ye, I don't know what your identity is in Seraiti. Qian Ye said. I just took up the position of acting captain of the 5th division. Qian Ye is so strong that he is only acting captain. No wonder the black cat of Yoruichi wants them to not fight with each other after they meet the captain level figure, and must find ways to escape as soon as possible. How strong is Seraiti's official captain Shinigami? Qian Ye didn't know the misunderstanding in Ishida Yulong's heart. Mr. Ishida, so what is your choice? If I'm caught with my hands, can I be detained to the 4th division? Qian Ye knows. Ishida Yulong, this is to go to a round with Inoue Orihime. Actually, the 4th division is a medical team, not a place to watch travel accidents. As Inoue badly hurt, the 4th squad is a medical team, not a place to watch travel accidents. While Inoue Orihime is now being held in the 4th division, Ishida Yulong can only think of one possibility. That is, Inoue Orihime was seriously injured and needed treatment, so he was sent to the 4th division. You'll know when you go. Didn't you say that the 4th division is not the place to watch the travel accident? But I didn't say that the 4th division can't watch the travel disaster temporarily. Qian Ye said and waved to the left corner. Yinmeng. Come here. The dream of Nirvana in the corner came to Qian Ye's side. Master Qian Ye, Master Yuli asked me to stay here and see if you need my help. Well, I really need your help now. Qian Ye turned and pointed at Ishida Yulong. Help me take him to the 4th division and hand it to Wa. Okay, Lord Qian Ye. Need to knock him out first. This is a problem. Oh, Qian Ye said to Ishida Yulong. Mr. Ishida, please pretend to be unconscious, and then be carried to the 4th division by Otoman. Otherwise, on the way to the 4th division, Shinigami from other divisions may make trouble for you. Ishida Yulong looked at Nianmeng and blushed slightly. She carried me to the 4th division. Can it work? Mr. Ishida, don't underestimate Yinmeng, she is very strong. Kuretsuchi Mayuri has many functions for convenience. For example, the engineer function that can be used for rough work. She is very strong. I am not light, I have. Oh, I don't want to fight with you either. But it is my duty to defend here, although I don't want to fight with you, I can't let you pass. I also found out about 4.9 Sato Yasutora where Rukia Kuchiki is, and met Kiraku Shunsui at this time. Bang. 8th Division Defensive Area. After Nianmeng left with Ishida Yulong, Qian Ye sensed Sato Yasutora's Reiatsu, with spirit wings growing out of his back, and flew towards the defense area of the 8th Division. Qian Ye smiled and said, I don't mind, I'll trouble you Yinmeng. Sato Yasutora asked again, can you let me pass? I don't want to fight with you. Can you let me pass? Kiraku Shunsui looked at Sato Yasutora in a fighting pose and suggested. Master Qian Ye, this is more convenient, don't you mind? Sato Yasutora did not know that Kiraku Shunsui was a captain. Oh, what a trouble, you look so good. Why should I meet you? Ishida Yulong was about to say how many caddies he had, but Nianmeng escaped with a big shovel from nowhere, and knocked him out. Sato Yasutora looked at Kiraku Shunsui lying on his side on the roof, and told him instinctively that this man who looked lazily was by no means comparable to the Shinigami he had encountered before. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Nianmeng held Ishida Yulong on his shoulders, and then said, Sir Qian Ye, then I will take this trip to the 4th division. Oh, go, it's hard work. Well, you might as well stay and drink with me until this matter subsides, how about?